Good morning, everybody. You are tuned to Computers 2K Now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Edman, your host for the next few hours, along with Mike.
Good Sunday morning to you.
And Nick is here.
Hello, hello.
Good morning. And our number is 919-518-9773, Computers 2K Voice on Skype. Today's show is being brought to you by thatvidblasterguy.com, Tom Sinclair, and by Adamus.com, makers of quality video recorders and converters for professionals. And today is August 31st, 2014. Just a few technical things. Nick was saying that it's stream number 1. We're doing, stream number 1 is Bamboozer. And that's
Make sure you refresh, though, if you're on Bamboozer.
Yeah. If you, anyway you refresh, it brings up Bamboozer. So that's where we do the widescreen. Just so you know. Okay, I think I've got everything here working. Yep. So what's going on?
The rent.
Listen to him. He's talking about rent.
Jeez.
Don't like no
idea how well you have it made.
Oh, yes.
Home is the cheapest place in town to live.
It's the best place in town to live.
Oh, it's Jim Castro's birthday. Look at that.
Jim who?
Oh.
Good Sunday morning. Hey now, Mike, on your G Plus community, everyone talks a good game, but they don't take the challenge of removing the hum when someone asks. They're mostly all talk. I'm really not sure what you're talking about. But it sounds interesting to me.
Well, see, now, Mike, for everybody that, I imagine not a lot of people that are watching the show watched the beginning of On the Radar on Friday.
Yes.
But, so Mike, you were familiar with the audio issue we were having. Jake had some type of hiss or buzz in his microphone. Do you think it was right for me to have him fix that and delay the start of the show, in your opinion?
I do.
Okay. So I wasn't just crazy making sure that everything was perfect.
But why is that important, in my opinion? And since you asked, I'll tell you.
I'm ready.
Is the primary purpose of your show the live broadcast or the podcast?
For the audience, the bigger audience is on the downloads.
Right. So why not delay the few people who are watching live for the benefit of the many people who are going to download?
Yeah.
At least that's the way I see it.
So you don't think I'm crazy I was crazy doing that?
No, I think you have to.
Yeah. And it turned out just having him move to a different part in the room a different spot in the room fixed it.
Well, what do you think the problem was?
Well, he was next to where he's got all of his gaming gear, so I imagine that there was something that was interfering, maybe a controller.
Okay. You make a good point. If you have the microphone that he's using is a Radio Shack microphone. It's a dynamic USB microphone, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. It's the one that's modeled after the 2100.
And what happens with some dynamic microphones is that if you get them too close to a piece of equipment that has a magnetic field about it, then this microphone will pick up noise from that piece of equipment. One of the worst offenders is a CRT monitor. I have an RE20, a $450 microphone, that if it's sitting in front of a CRT monitor and turned the right way, it'll pick up hum. So I suspect that he probably was too close to something. Moreover, for anyone who's into the technical side of things, which some of us are, the microphone, the plug where it plugs into the mixer, is unbalanced, and being unbalanced, it is more likely to pick up background noise.
Yeah.
No.
So if you're having a problem, don't hesitate to make it right. Don't just roll into it.
I totally agree. Amnon, I don't know what to tell you. Amnon's telling me about my background shot. He doesn't like my...
No, I mean, I don't want you to be surprised.
No.
I know the perfectionist that you are.
Well, there's just not a whole lot I can do. I'm running out of studio space here. I'm going to have to, since we weren't doing widescreen until now, I'm going to have to redo my studio space, which probably will consist of removing the green backdrop.
There are two things that I learned from Nick. You can just zoom in a little bit because at the moment you can
zoom in with a regular camera. I wouldn't recommend zooming in with a webcam.
Oh,
You lose quality when you zoom in with a webcam, not with
Talk, Mike.
Hello, 1, 2, 3. Test 1, 2, 3.
No, I saw it on the. No, never mind. I saw it on the little one that it was, and you can turn it just a tad to your. Yep. Let's see. Let go. Just a little bit more.
Hold on, I don't see it.
What do you mean? Really?
Okay, there it is. Yeah.
But now doesn't that make me off center?
Okay. Now, well, not really. Maybe a little bit, but...
Oh, God, do we have to do this on the air?
Yes, we do. I mean, you see, that's fine. That's all the trials and tribulations of podcasting. Okay. You guys wanted to do widescreen, so there you go.
Oh, boy.
Anyway.
We wanted to do widescreen.
Yes, you did. You pushed me into it.
Yeah, we wanted to help you, Amnon.
I wanted to, right? I really wanted to.
Well, you'll thank me later, I promise.
Okay. All
right. Hey, now, you said I'll stop the OT. There is no OT here. If you want to talk about it, we talk about it. If you want to call in, call in.
Here's the so the post that he's in reference to is
removing power line hum from audio with GarageBand, and this goes back to August 11th on the Podcasting Technology Resources group, and I don't even know if I read this thread.
Well,
post in it.
I'm not sure, but that's a good last resort. But the better thing to do would be to remove it so you don't have to get rid of it in GarageBand.
That's what you were just talking about. Whenever you have a problem, eliminate it at the source instead of trying to filter it out of the finished product, where it's much more difficult. In fact, this guy, Eric Dizzy, who is here, brings up something that I saw. I was reading on Facebook last night. In fact, for anyone who is interested, There are several groups on Facebook that might interest you. There's one that we operate called Internet Broadcasting. If it's facebook.com/groups/internet broadcasting. And we talk about all sorts of things that you might be interested in from the technical perspective. But if you're more into podcasting, which I'm not, but if you are into podcasting, there is another group on there called Podcast Community. That's Nick's favorite group. And it's facebook.com/groups/podcast community. And there's some interesting things there. I mean, you got to be careful because you can, well, I'll just leave it up to you, let you make up your own mind. But
you'll get kicked out of the group if you disagree with anybody that's in there. That's exactly what it is. No, we're not cherry coding this thing here.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting for sure.
If you promote something that isn't New Media Expo, you'll get a very nice private message from one of the admins.
What about Podcast Movement?
No, I'm fine with them. Just beware of that group. If you do anything that is not the group as a whole does not like, you will be asked to leave.
But at the same time, now isn't that true of many groups on Facebook? Because if you come in doing stupid stuff in the Internet Broadcasting group, we're going to delete the post. If you come in doing nothing but promoting your show, then we're gonna strike it.
Yeah, no, that would be like Andrew going into that would be like me having a blog post about how good this microphone is, posting it in the group, Andrew telling me, hey Nick, sorry, but we don't want you promoting your own thing there, and then him posting an article to the IAIB, and everybody loves the IAIB article but thinks that I'm spamming or promoting myself. That's what that other group is like. So just be aware.
But there's some interesting topics that do pop up from time to time, and I like to, as the other guys know, I like to listen to Dave Jackson's live show on Saturday mornings. He does a show at 10:30 on Saturday mornings where it's called Ask the Podcast Coach. Somebody say something?
I was going to say, good morning. Good Saturday morning.
No. Well, oh well. And but there's some really good topics there. People get into the how do I get listed in iTunes? What are my artwork requirements? How do I have a website with WordPress with plugin? I don't get into all that stuff because for two reasons. One, I don't know the answers, and two, it doesn't interest me. I'm only interested in the technical side of things with regard to the audio, even though audio is not important. But again, it takes a pretty diverse community to be able to do a live broadcast or a podcast and to do it well. And these groups can be useful, at least reading them. I saw something a while ago I was going to bring up, but I'll find it a little bit later on.
All right.
Here's a now this is interesting to me. Maybe somebody can explain this to me. With no disrespect to the lady who made the post.
Okay, where is this in the other group?
This is the one that you got kicked out of.
I didn't get kicked out. I left.
Whatever.
For the record, who made the post?
I don't know her name. What is her name? Well, let's just leave her name out of it. I've never heard of her.
Okay.
All right. She says, I'm a blogger, and I'm planning an article on new and upcoming podcasts in the self-help personal development niche.
Check out Amnon's network.
That's the biggest niche on the internet right now.
Amnon, how many shows do you do that are in that category?
I did 11? 3, now 2. Go ahead, Mike.
What is that?
What is what?
Self-help.
What is self-help personal niche development niche?
That's telling you how you can help yourself instead of going to a professional. They're trying to help you to, you can do this and you can do that. That's the self-help thing. But that is the most, that's the prevalent after, I think even more than tech as far as podcasts on the internet. But go ahead.
Everybody's a self-help expert.
Yeah, I mean, even Merle got it right. He said, so if you're into self-help, how can you ask someone for help?
You have to learn how to do it. But anyway, so, Mike, did we interrupt you in the middle of something?
No, I was just throwing that out there for discussion. He now says usually it's a multi-level marketing scheme where you learn to help others for money, supposedly.
Hey now, I imagine you're trying to keep anonymous here, but do you do a podcast?
Yeah, tell us as much as you will about yourself, because you're new here and we're interested and we're one big happy family.
And obviously, if you're trying to stay anonymous and speak your mind, more power to you.
Yeah, that's fine. We don't have a problem with that. So,
Oh, he knows you, Mike.
Facebook is experimenting with Blu-ray as a storage medium.
well,
How much?
I don't recognize Hey Now, so anyway, go ahead, Amnon.
How much did it? Anybody has a Blu-ray recorder that knows
No.
how much? I can't remember.
The Blu-ray players or a Blu-ray recorder?
Well, recorder, because if you're going to record, how much data does it hold?
I
mean, we know DVD.
Blu-ray's a big amount. Games are all Blu-ray now.
Well, I mean, when you look at a game that's on a Blu-ray, it doesn't fill the whole Blu-ray. That's what I'm wondering.
False, actually. I have a game that is 2 Blu-ray discs. So single layer's 25 gigs, dual layer's 50.
Wow, that's there. I mean, still, I don't understand why they would do that.
Do what?
Use Blu-ray as storage medium versus
Amazon has. So this is what's good about storing with Blu-ray. And Amazon, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Amazon's Glacier storage.
No,
But their Glacier storage is all Blu-ray. They're storing everything on Blu-ray because it's, first of all, they're much easier to store. They don't have to keep the computers connected. What they're doing is they're writing to these Blu-ray discs and putting them away in a safe spot. They're not keeping them hooked up so that you can read them. They'll just archive different things that don't need to be accessed, and they store it for later use.
well,
So you're not reading and writing from it. It's just an easier way instead of
stored.
filling a hard drive.
they said that the discs are held in a group of 12s in locked cartridges and are extracted by a robotic arm whenever they are needed.
Yeah.
One rack contains 10,000 discs.
10,000 discs at 50 gigs.
Yeah. Well, if at the most.
Very reasonable way to store. Very reasonable.
It is capable of storing a petabyte of data. There it is, or 1 million gigabytes.
And they're cheap.
Blu-ray discs offer a number of advantages versus hard drives. For one thing, the discs are more resilient. They are water and dust resistant and better able to withstand temperature swings. Their data can be restored more quickly, and they are easier to transport. Most important, though, is cost, and that makes sense. Because the Blu-ray system doesn't need to be powered when the discs aren't in use, it uses 80% less power than the hard drive arrangements, cutting overall costs in half. So that makes a lot of sense right there. It's like when your CD in the computer, it doesn't run. Well, no, but it's still powered.
Yeah, but they're not even attached to computers. That's what they're saying. They're just in these specialized little.
Now I'm wondering, is this storage for users that are on, or is that for their own? I mean, are they going to put your timeline on a Blu-ray, or is that for their own back end? It doesn't mention here.
It's for both. I mean, Facebook is backing up everything that you post multiple times, so it's an easier way for them to back something up instead
Yeah,
of keeping it on a hard drive.
God forbid it gets lost, right?
Yeah, well, now it won't. But Amazon's been doing the Glacier storage for a while now, and it's very inexpensive to do because you're not keeping the drives attached anywhere, or the in this case the discs attached anywhere. They're just sitting in these fireproof storage pods, I would imagine. And if you need something from Amazon, you contact them. Somebody walks over there, grabs the discs, throws them in a computer, and
Hey, Mike,
get the data.
can you say jukebox?
Can I say jukebox?
Yeah.
I can.
Robotic arms that picks up the disc and puts it in, and
I don't know what you're talking about, Amnon.
I do.
Oh, somebody, Dr. John already said, like a big jukebox.
Yep.
Yeah. What do you mean you don't know? Are you being sarcastic? You probably have one.
No, I don't.
Don't believe him.
I don't. Nor do I want one.
Mike, I'm going to buy you one.
Okay.
I'll find one on the Raleigh Craigslist.
Make sure they're worth a lot on eBay before you give it to me, though.
Okay.
So.
Yeah,
And
Blu-rays are, if you're storing stuff for later use, Blu-ray is probably the best way to do it.
Today.
If you plan on storing a lot. Yeah, right
today.
now.
Yeah. I mean, the thing you go for is the size. And it's if it's 25 and 50, boy. I don't think I ever did anything with a dual layer DVD even. As far as storage. I don't think I ever recorded that much on a DVD.
Interesting.
I will tell you this, that if you've been saving data on DVDs and CDs for a long time, you better check them because these things are evaporating. You know how a film, a picture taken with a film camera from years ago, how the colors start fading over time? That would be a yes or no question.
You'd have to ask Amnon. I am not familiar.
Yeah.
Okay, well, DVDs and CDs do the same thing. They're a photographic process. The intensity of the photolithography type image on the disc begins to fade in intensity over time, which means that you might put in one with your family pictures from 20 years ago and not be able to read it.
Now, is that because of the light that's doing that?
It's because the dye in the disc is losing its contrast.
Why is it losing its contrast? Because of the light?
Chemical degrades over time.
Okay. So keeping it out of the light is not...
It helps.
Oh, yes, it does. I mean,
yeah, it helps.
Yeah, because that's what these things are. They're just
the,
things like...
that aluminum stuff, I'm sure it's not aluminum, but that metallic layer, people are very much worried about scratching the DVD or the CD on the side of where it's shining. And actually, it's a lot worse to scratch it on the other side because the reflection of that material, and I really don't know what it is, but the reflection is what makes it possible to read and write to it. And if you look at some older CDs, you'll see that and you look on the side of the label. I'm talking about rewritables because the ones that have a big paper label on them will probably last longer because it protects the stuff on it. But if you look at some rewritables or writable CDs, you'll see on the old ones that silver that was there in early days is now a little bit kind of yellowish. And that means it's beginning to deteriorate. And that CD will probably, in a couple of years, you're not going to be able to read from it. And that's what you really, really need to worry that material doesn't come, because the minute there's a break in that reflective material, forget about that DVD or the CD.
Unrepairable whenever you break that side. That's like damaging audio tape. Once if you take a hole puncher and punch a hole in the tape, you'll never recover the data on that.
Think about a mirror. The old mirrors that had that stuff on the back, and it's something peels off, and that part is just a piece of glass. I mean, you're not going to be able to see anything there.
In fact, that's the perfect example, Amnon. Good for you. Because if you look at a mirror, you will see that a mirror is a piece of glass with a reflective surface on the back side of the glass,
right?
Not the front side. You can scratch the glass all day long without disturbing the reflective surface on the back, but once you scratch the reflective surface on the back, there's nothing you can do on the front to make good.
Yeah. Gene is asking, what plug is needed to get video with Firefox? I don't understand the question. Gene, are you talking about watching here, watching the show? You don't need any special plug. What?
You need Flash.
Flash.
Oh, plug-in. Oh. Yeah, you need Flash. That's right. Adobe Flash Player.
So Merle says, isn't that a reason to go with cloud backup? Absolutely. 100% of the time. You absolutely should be doing cloud backups in addition to your other 3 local backups.
Right, exactly.
And I still can't tell you which is the best online backup source. My daughter seems to have the worst possible luck with hard drives failing. And so I set her up on Carbonite, not necessarily because it was the cheapest or the best, but because Carbonite advertises so much that she's not a techie. Whenever it's time for her to say, what is this running on my computer, she sees the word Carbonite and she has an idea what's going on with her computer.
It probably is going to be easier to ask people in the chat who has experience with any of the online backups as far as restoring or not being able to restore, and how hard, how difficult, how cumbersome, whatever the process was. I mean, in the early days, you could just get online and get the restore. Today, I know some of them say, oh, we'll send you DVDs. If I want to restore something, I want it now. I want to restore it now. I don't want to wait for DVDs. But there must be something good about having DVDs, or they wouldn't do it, or they're just trying to save. Do you think they're just trying to save bandwidth? I don't know, but what is Gene is having? I guess he can't hear us. He can't see or hear. That's the problem.
That's like everyone who didn't make it in today. Please stand up so we can make a record of it.
Yeah. But he should be able to go. You can go to audio only, yeah. But it would be interesting to know if anybody had a bad experience with an online or cloud backup service. We all know that Mozy was screwing up big time on backing up, where it would stop and not let you know. I mean, unless you were diligent and watching, you would see, oh, it didn't back up in 3-4 days.
Well, that's one thing that these online backup services do, that if they don't get a backup from you periodically, then they'll send you an email saying, hey, you haven't done that in 2 years. 2 years, 2 weeks. Boy, yeah. I hate being distracted. So anyway, but because hers did, because I was getting her computer back to her. She had not hooked it up in a couple of weeks. We started getting emails saying that, hey, what's going on? We haven't gotten a backup from you in a couple of weeks. Now, another interesting thing just happened with my best friend who also uses Carbonite. He got a notice from Carbonite that it was unable to back up his E drive. He asked me to log in and look at it, and when I did, his E drive, Windows was not even seeing his E drive. Well, that's not good.
No.
I rebooted the computer. There was his E drive, I ran the tools, the Windows tools on it, and it got to about 65% of the way through, and it just hung. Next thing I know, the E drive is not there. Rebooted, it's still not there.
And the E drive is a local drive.
It is. Fortunately, theoretically, it's all backed up on Carbonite. But now this happened last week, and if he doesn't get that problem solved within a month, then those files are deleted from Carbonite.
Mike, I'm not sure they are.
I am.
Really?
Yes. If they don't see a corresponding file on your local drive, then they delete from Carbonite. Carbonite is not a repository where you can keep files forever. It is a 30-day backup of your local drives.
I'll show you how much I know.
Well, you know what? If I'm wrong, somebody correct me, because I would like to know. But that's my understanding.
Hey, now is saying I've heard that some have had bad doc corruption problems with Google Drive. iDrive will also send you a hard drive once a year to do a large backup if you want. Oh, but that's to do the backup and send it back to them instead of uploading it through the internet.
Okay, good. Gene got it. He said Shockwave was disabled.
Oh.
I don't know which one of these services is best. I really don't know. One of the things that I've thought about doing, I don't know why I haven't done it, but my best friend lives over in Durham. He's got decent internet over there, speed, particularly with his download, my upload. And what I'd thought about doing, in fact, I would have done it, but for my bad experience with Netgear routers, the current ilk of Netgear routers, and maybe others, I don't know. I only have the Netgear, unfortunately. But they have a USB port on them. You can set up that, you can plug a USB drive into that port and have an FTP into that USB drive on that router. As I understand it, that does not give a hacker access to your network, only to that drive, which obviously is a concern, but it just bothers. I'm just not comfortable having that USB drive open to the internet for backups, because if you can't put the stuff on there that the confidential information or banking, whatever it is you want to store on a drive, it could end up there when you're not paying attention. So I don't think that's a good idea to leave that USB drive exposed to the internet.
That's good. Very good point, Mike.
But I don't know how susceptible it is to being hacked. I don't know the answer to that.
I don't see any difference between it being hacked and other stuff being hacked.
Oh, I do. Don't you have a better firewall on your servers than you would have on a Netgear router?
No, because the new Netgear routers have a very good firewall on them. That it's a what do they call it?
I'd call it a joke.
No, they inspect every byte or whatever. I can't remember. It's a mechanism that unless you initiated the command to go out and do something, nothing can come back in regarding that. So
no.
All comes into my mind is SPDIF, but I know that's not it.
Yeah,
it's something like that. Spiff.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
No.
I think I do.
I
just don't trust a consumer grade firewall for imported data like that. And I know that's silly because I'm sitting behind one. Somebody could hack into my network here. But what I'm saying is that with this USB drive exposed to the internet intentionally with an FTP, probably port 21, it just seems to me that that's making yourself a sitting duck. SPI, Stateful Packet Inspection.
That's what it is. Well, I can get stream up to actually stream. Oh well. What's Nick doing?
I don't know. You tell me. There he is.
What you doing, Nick?
What do you mean, what am I doing?
I saw you kind of working on your...
You saw me working on what? I just got back.
Oh, didn't notice you going. I didn't know you were gone.
Yeah, why? Mike gets to leave during the show, and we don't question him.
No, I didn't question you. I thought you were doing something on your desk.
No, I went to go here. I made some toast.
As far as firewall and keeping ports closed, still the best way to check it is GRC. What's his name?
Steve Gibson.
Steve Gibson's. Every time, like when I go through the credit card verification thing for being a merchant, they want to know that you are not susceptible to hacking. I'll first go over there and check and see that all the ports are closed. I mean, I've never seen one open.
Shields up.
Shields up. And that will tell you if you have any open ports. Something may have opened the port somewhere and you said, yeah, it's okay, whatever. So you need to be aware of this. So Shields Up is a great utility to check. And he's got some other utilities over on the website that will help you with that.
Yeah, well, Steve is kind of a polarizing character. I don't know why people dog on him so much. Even on SpinRite, people want to take him to task for SpinRite, calling it junk, hasn't been updated. And SpinRite has saved my butt so many times it's hard to count. There are so many hard drives that would have been toast if I had not had SpinRite to run, which, by the way, while we're on the subject, if I can find it, there's actually, hold on. There's actually a program that a buddy of ours, Brian, I don't know where's Brian been lately, recommended. I haven't tried it yet. And it's called HDD Regenerator. It's a $100 program. But Brian does computer maintenance and support. So he has his share of defective hard drives for his customers. He ran this HDD Regenerator on a hard drive and got everything back. I suspect it's probably the same sort of thing as SpinRite. I don't know.
I don't know.
But it's $100. 30-day money-back guarantee, unlimited license, free 1-year minor updates. I don't like that. Large discounts on major upgrades. You could end up spending a whole lot of money when you consider you might not have to run it on 1 or 2 drives a year. Using a disk surface using hysteresis loops generator. I have a question. Serious. No, I wouldn't use it with an SSD. I don't think you do anything with SSD. And by the way, I've heard people run SpinRite on SSD and it worked, but I'd never do it. So anyway,
Mike, you continue. I need to reboot the Wirecast machine.
What is that streaming to?
to JustCast, Dailymotion, and StreamUp. I mean, Bambuser is fine.
You tried it and it dies immediately. I wouldn't be doing that. Because one of the things that brings up a good point that we've talked about here, and I feel pretty strongly that is correct, and that is you should not do defragmentation on an SSD. Well, Windows 7, Windows 8, whenever you install an SSD, it is supposed to detect that it is an SSD and disable the ability to do defrag. That has not been my experience. I've installed, well, for one thing, whenever I image a hard drive from or a mechanical drive to an SSD, it does not automatically detect that it's now located on an SSD. But I've also had situations where I've installed the operating system directly to the computer with the SSD installed. It still does not disable defragment, and it probably should. But I've been told for sure that you do not want to defrag an SSD for two reasons. One, it doesn't do any good. The drive's so fast that there's no mechanical read-write head seeking, so it doesn't need that. It does it electronically. And second, it actually fatigues the cells and significantly diminishes the life of the hard drive. So I wouldn't be defragging an SSD drive. Looking at this HDD regenerator, no data losses in any mode, whatever that means. Corrupt data recovery, making unreadable data readable. User-friendly, intuitive interface. Easy to use, no complex settings. You do not need to change a lot of complicated and unnecessary settings. We've already set up the product for you for best performance and results. The product ignores the file system, scans disks at physical level. It can be used with FAT, NTFS, or any other file system, also with unformatted or unpartitioned disks. Gives you drive statistics, starts directly under Windows 7, 8, Vista, XP. There you go, Amnon. Bootable regenerating flash can be created from the program and used to automatically start regenerate. I don't even know what that means. Bootable regenerating flash can be created from the program and used to automatically start regenerating. Maybe it's saying it'll make an image of the hard drive.
So, you guys were talking about running SpinRite on an SSD.
Yes.
And it's not recommended, but depending on what level of scan you do with SpinRite, I believe it's either level 1 or level 2 is just a read-only scan.
Mm-hmm.
And in that case, it would help because it's not writing anything to the disk. It's just a simple read. So you can do that without it being...
Yeah, I think that has to be level 1.
I knew it was either 1 or 2 because I remember he talked about it before on Security Now, but I didn't remember which level it was.
I wonder why he doesn't update the program.
Why would he? It works.
Well, I mean, but that's the question. Is the program still perfectly compatible with an all new age drives?
If it wasn't, he would update it.
Let's see. There's a bootable regenerating CD allows start regenerating. All right. So here's my question. Why are the people, other than Steve Gibson, why are the people who know so much about hard drives from Russia?
What?
Why are all the people who know so much about hard drives from Russia?
I didn't know that was the case.
You watch and look at some of these programs out there, that the various programs where they get into the real nuts and bolts all the way down to the hardware, as we say, on hard drives. You check out how many of these guys are from Russia. They get it. They really. This guy is Dmitry Primachenko.
He's not Russian.
Well, what is he?
It was a
From
joke.
Queens?
Yeah, he's a guy from Queens.
Oh. Dmitry Primachenko. We have a guy in our office from Russia. He's probably got 180 IQ. Real-time hard drive status monitor. HDD regenerator real-time monitor is more powerful and precise than ever in timely prediction of hard drive problems. Let's see here. Now this is interesting how it works. Almost 60% of all hard drives damaged with bad sectors have an incorrectly magnetized disk surface. We have developed an algorithm that is used to repair damaged disk surfaces. This technology is hardware independent. It supports many types of hard drives and repairs damage that even low-level disk formatting cannot repair. As a result, previously unreadable information will be restored. Because of the way the repair is made, the existing information on the disk drive will not be affected. Almost 60% of damaged hard disks can be repaired by regeneration. You can always download the free demo version and try to regenerate the first found bad sector. The main purpose of the unregistered demo is to display a report that contains information about the possibility to regenerate the entire disk. If the first found bad sector has been successfully regenerated, you can buy the product to regenerate all bad sectors on your hard drive. That's fair enough. If the first bad sector has not been successfully regenerated, then replace your hard disk as soon as possible. If you see delays under Windows, it is recommended to rescan the drive from a bootable regenerating CD or flash. If your hard drive is external, it is recommended that you connect it as an internal drive. 1 to 2 delays are generally not a problem. Permanent delays mean that the hard drive has sectors with long access time. A drive with permanent delays is actually a failing drive and may cause data losses. You can try to regenerate such sectors using the... and we'll get into all that. Well, I'll just use this opportunity to recommend to people that if you haven't done a scan on your hard drive lately, you should do so, particularly if you're not diligent about doing your backups. And one of the best ways to do a scan, other than using the Windows program, which actually works for the file system errors pretty well, but one of the things that I would suggest is if you have a Western Digital drive, go to WDC.com and download their Data Lifeguard utility. Run that on all of your drives. If you have a Seagate drive, go to Seagate.com and download their CTools program and run it. And my buddy who has a lot of problem with hard drives, for example, in fact, the same guy who lost the E drive, he periodically scans all the drives in his computer using one of the utilities, and obviously it doesn't catch them going bad all the time. But sometimes whenever the smart indicator is triggered on a hard drive, it will let you know that problems are happening, and sometimes it will let you know before there are even any other symptoms on the hard drive. So do yourself a favor and go do that.
Well, I don't know what's wrong on that other machine, but it will not connect to any of the CDNs. So I'm just going to give it a break for a few minutes and see.
Get a Mac?
Yeah. So did we get an indication of problems? I mean, some of these services to avoid?
What?
The cloud services backup.
No, we passed that. I don't know any of them to avoid. I've been interested in knowing whether anyone in chat has had a bad experience with one of the online cloud services. Okay, I'll go first. Mozy Backup was terrible.
You said was. Are they still in business?
I don't know because I quit using them.
Yes.
I had a horrible experience with them. I had a hard drive that failed. Unfortunately, I think I told this before, but I had a hard drive, a server drive that for some reason the Mozy Backup stopped running 2 weeks before the hard drive failed. No indication, no flags, no nothing. When the hard drive finally failed, I said, thankfully I've got an online backup. I went to Mozy. I did a restore, downloaded 100 and some odd gigabytes of data for that drive, compressed, and I found out that the last 2 weeks were missing, and it had a critical file in there that I really needed and never did find it. Never did get the file back. I keep hoping one day it will show up, but I'm not too optimistic.
This is something that I really don't understand. I'll explain afterwards. According to a Reuters report, China could have a new homegrown operating system by October to take on imported rivals such as Microsoft, Google, and Apple. Xinhua news agency said on Sunday, computer technology became an area of tension between China and the United States after a number of run-ins over cybersecurity.
Well, yeah.
China is now looking to help its domestic industry catch up with imported systems such as Microsoft's Windows and Google's mobile operating system Android. The operating system would first appear on desktop devices and later extend to smartphones and other mobile devices. Citing Ni Guanan, who heads an official OS development alliance established in March, it would make sense for even a homegrown operating system to be based on existing ones, in the way Red Flag Linux is. Conceptually related, earlier this year, Chinese company Koship Electronics announced it and demonstrated a mobile OS called 960 OS. The reason why I don't understand this, why they do this, we already established, I think, some years ago that China bought one copy of Windows and they make copies of it and give everybody. So you already have Windows that you don't have to pay for. So what's the big deal?
But actually, it's an interesting question. I wonder why Microsoft has no competition in the operating system market.
Well, they do in the PC. They don't. Yeah, they do Linux, but it's not there yet.
Mac OS is a direct threat to Microsoft.
5% of the market.
Yeah, but it's
that number has changed, Mike.
But Nick,
worldwide. It hasn't.
It doesn't run on a PC. It's for a Mac computer.
Okay.
That's actually a good point, Amnon. Good for you.
We're talking about something that will take over. I mean, that when you sit in an office, you have 500 people working, and you want to change the operating system because Windows now is $500, and there's another one that will do whatever you need to do right there on the same computers. It will cost $100, and you saving thousands.
Why would
what do you
anybody do that?
What?
Why would somebody write an operating system that did that? That rivals Windows?
Because of the availability of cheap hardware.
No way. They'd be stupid. They're not gonna get any market penetration. Look at how long it's taken Apple to get less than 10% of the market. There's no way. Never gonna happen.
I believe that if OS 10 or Mac OS would run on a PC, a lot of people would buy it and use it instead of Windows. What?
They'd own the market.
Yeah.
Yeah, for most people they would, yeah.
For the primary reason is that they're not yet susceptible to viruses like Windows are.
They're susceptible, just nobody uses it.
That's what I'm telling you. There's just not enough of them out there to excite the virus writers.
Why did Microsoft make Windows 8 if Apple is not a threat? Well, they made Windows 8 because they update their operating systems all the time.
Yeah, so they can charge people for updates. They make their money on operating systems and programs, and if they don't update them, they don't have a revenue stream, I assume.
Oh, if Windows 8 was them trying to rival against Apple, they need to fire everybody that had to do with that because that was the horrible execution of an operating system.
And in fact, that's an interesting question because if Windows 8 is to rival Apple, then where is Apple's touch screen on the desktop or on the laptop?
Well, they don't.
Well, that was the primary mover for Windows 8 was the touch screen, right?
Yeah.
Supposed to be.
I guess you could say it was rivaling the iPad, but I don't think so. I mean, the Windows 8's a full-fledged operating system, and iOS is not.
But that brings up an interesting question that I have not even read anything about, good, bad, or indifferent. I wonder if Microsoft has any patents on touchscreens for laptop and desktop computers.
They might. They might. It's a possibility.
Wonder why we haven't heard anything about that.
Because it most likely doesn't exist, but it's a possibility.
So, Nick, what's happening with Twitch?
Oh, they got purchased by Amazon this week.
So, did they get purchased, or they are going to get purchased?
No, they have been officially purchased by Amazon.
That's it. Deal is closed.
Deal is closed, yes.
Interesting. So, what did Amazon get into the bidding, or they did something after they knew that Google is going to buy them?
I don't know. I don't have any inside
I thought
knowledge
the last week was it's Google buying them, and they're going to probably shut it down.
Yeah, but I don't know how this whole plan worked out. Amazon could have been in the running the whole time. I really don't know.
You know what we need to start doing? Well, maybe we need to start evaluating other podcasts on this show. We'll play a little bit of them and evaluate them.
I don't think that's a bad idea.
Go for it.
No. We need to do prep work for it.
I wouldn't want to embarrass anybody, but here's again. I'm looking at some stuff on Facebook, and a guy writes. He says, "I have a question. We just started our podcast, and I'm very pleased to see that we have some consistent download numbers for our first few episodes. We're very well spread out geographically with some international listeners. I know that it takes time to build an audience, but I was wondering what kind of increase some of the podcasts with larger audiences saw at the beginning. In your experience, is there a tipping point where your download numbers started to take off? Conversely, is there a length of time with roughly the same number of downloads per episode that indicates stagnation and the need for more promotion?"
This is on
your favorite podcasting group.
I actually think that's a pretty good question.
Well, is it though?
Yes, it is.
Okay, go.
Which part of it? The first part or the second part?
Either part. Because I'm going to comment on it after you do.
So I was looking at a video that Tim posted while you said that. So the first part was download numbers.
I need to know how much time it takes to build an audience, what kind of increase some of the podcasts with larger audiences saw at the beginning.
Well, I don't think that's not a set thing. You could have the download numbers you're going to get for a niche compared to the download numbers you could get for a tech podcast will be dramatically different. But if you're reaching 50% of that niche, you're doing a whole hell of a lot better than getting the same amount of downloads and reaching 1% of the tech market that are into the people that are into tech podcasts. So I don't believe that there's a set line there where you could say, well, I get 10,000 downloads. I get 10,000 downloads on my podcast that's about the Raspberry Pi. There you go, 10,000 downloads about the Raspberry Pi. But I get 10,000 downloads when I do just a general tech show. That $10,000 for the Raspberry Pi is much more significant than the 10,000 downloads just for a regular tech podcast. Not everybody that's into technology is using a Raspberry Pi or is interested in the Raspberry Pi.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's not a one size fits all argument. I don't believe.
Well, that was my point in that I think the question, and I don't mean this unkindly, I really don't. The question is somewhat naive, but because the last sentence in the question says, conversely, is there a length of time with roughly the same number of downloads per episode that indicates stagnation and the need for more promotion? There is, if you're trying to build your downloads and listenership, you always have to promote. always and forever. Back in the advertising business, we used to say, back in the old days, whenever they used to have locomotives that ran off of wood-burning burners, you had to keep throwing wood into the locomotive to keep it going. When you get up to speed and you're cruising right along, if you stop throwing wood in the fire, then the locomotive slows down till it stops. So you have to keep, and promotion is exactly the same way. You have to keep feeding the promotion aspect of any sort of podcast. But this podcasting thing, that there are just so many out there, and so many of them are just bad. I mean, one thing that Nick and I have started doing, because we started a site that actually took off a little better than we thought it would.
A lot better.
Yeah, it's called whenisiton.net. Whenisiton.net. What that site is a place where you can go list, if you have a live internet broadcast, not a podcast, a live internet broadcast. It can be the live recording of your podcast as long as it's done at the same time each week. You can list it there so that whenever people are sitting at their computer and saying, wonder what's on right now, I want to see what's going on with internet broadcasting, then you can go to whenisiton.net and it'll show you what time things are on. Unfortunately, it is the calendar that we have is not as good as it needs to be, and is going to have to be updated because of the number of people who are participating. But if you click on the single day view, you can actually see everything that's on that day. And that's really all you need to see anyway, because if you're sitting there now wondering what's on right now. But one other thing that Nick set up that's really handy is that if you're a Twitter user, you can follow When Is It On Twitter, at When Is It On. Each time a new show is getting ready to start, it will actually send you a tweet, or it tweets it and it shows up in your timeline.
Yeah, that's for every show every week. So if
every show, and if it continues to grow, we're probably going to have to break that down to which shows do you want to be tweeted about. But again, it's grown a little more than we wanted, or not wanted, but thought it would, because it had some good mentions. In fact, you probably got some yesterday, Nick, because it was pretty well advertised on Dave Jackson's show.
Yeah, we really got to thank Tim in the chat room who mentioned it to Tom Merritt, and Tom Merritt gave it a plug on the Daily Tech News show last Monday or Tuesday maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So, thank Tim for that. But yeah, it's a good little resource.
But the point I was getting to is that with all due respect, some of the, I don't know why I keep saying that, but Nick and I have made it a point to listen to every one of the podcasts that we can listen to. If they've taken time to list themselves on When Is It On, we want to hear what they're doing, because we might find something that interests us. There's a curiosity factor to it, and we're finding some people who've listed them then haven't done their show yet. And needless to say, if that is a continuing thing, then they're going to be taken off, because if you're going to be listed, you need to be doing your show regularly. And we found some interesting things. We found some interesting shows.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff on there.
So if you have a show, be sure. And it's a little confusing. People ask me, how do you get listed? If you go to whenisiton.net, if you look in the left column, you will see a link that says if you want to get your show listed, click that link, and it brings up a form you fill in. And from that form, we take that information, put it into the calendar, and whenever you fill out that form, you absolutely answer all the questions. You have a start time and an end time. If you don't fill out the information, all you're doing is slowing things down and creating work.
Yep. Check it out.
So anyway,
I don't know. I'm not of this. I don't know. I don't do this. What's the word you use? Promote. What was the guy? The guy used the word promotion in his Facebook post.
He said that when is the need for more promotion?
Well, then I think, like you said, there's always a need for more promotion, but the biggest problem is where do you promote with a podcast? Not on these Facebook groups, not on these Google Plus groups. Exactly, you'll get yourself banned.
Great question. So what's the answer?
I don't think there is a place to promote yourself.
I do.
You gotta network with people that are doing similar things. But in terms of like I mean, unless you're targeting a local audience, you can't really go out and hand out flyers unless it's something that's local. Like if you're doing a show about a local high school football team, then or a college team, that would work great. But for a gaming show or a tech show or a self whatever those self wellness shows are, it's hard to go out. You can't walk outside and, hey, listen to my show. Here's a flyer.
But let's look at it this way. If you're going to use social media to promote your show, you have to learn how social media works. And what that means is you have to find ways to make what you're doing obvious in those areas that you frequent without violating the rules. There's still a lot of online forums where you can go in and post things that these forums will allow you to put a link in the footer of your post. So if you're into self-help, if you're into chakra balancing or some of that stuff, then there are probably 10,000 news groups or forums on the internet. And yes, I know the plural is fora, but if you go to the internet and you participate in these forums and discussions and put a footer in there and you pick up 1, 2, 3, 4 new listeners a week, after a while it's going to add up. If you can get other people to talk about your group and to recommend it, that's not normally a violation of the terms of service. And we all know that people game that system. So what? That's the way it works sometimes. It works that way for any product. But one of the other things that I would consider doing is that let's take one of Amnon's shows, for example. And Steve is right. It's all word of mouth, even when it's done with a keyboard. You got to get the word out. But let's take one of Amnon's shows, for example, Lessons of Vietnam. I think it's one of the best ideas for a show that's out there, because as society ages, the real truth about Vietnam is getting harder and harder to find. Now, why is that important? Well, because people who did not live through the era don't realize how bad the news reporting was for Vietnam. The soldiers from Vietnam came back and they were treated as criminals because of the way the media portrayed them. Now, whenever our military come back from overseas, they're treated as heroes, as they should be, as the Vietnam guys should have been treated. They were out there sacrificing their limbs and their lives and their loved ones so that your sorry butt can go on the internet and talk about what kind of criminals they are. But all that being said, how would you promote a show like that? Well, if they wanted to build it into a big show, then there are certain organizations, certain like the VFW, like there are veterans groups that you can go and participate in those groups and say, by the way, take a look at what we're doing here. And since these shows are actually archived and available, someone can go in and very quickly decide if they want to become a regular participant and can get all the back content. Because the Vietnam show, if you haven't heard about it, is called Lessons from Vietnam, NissanCommunications.com. Now, it may not be your cup of tea, because if you're not interested in history, if you're not interested in the Vietnam War, it's a very dry subject, but it's a very important subject, particularly if that's the sort of thing that interests you. But what's so great about the Lessons from Vietnam show that Amnon's doing and archiving is this information will be valid 100 years from now. In fact, it'll probably be even more valid 100 years from now than it is now, because we won't have the people around then with personal recollections. So I think Amnon has hit the big time on the idea. And again, now the guys doing the show, Amnon, you can correct me if I'm not right here, but these guys aren't so interested in becoming world-class podcasters. They're interested in getting the story out there, to getting it on record for those who want to come get it.
That is correct.
So anyway, and even if they it takes them 10 years to build the audience, even if they stop doing the show, they could still and will likely still build a show. Which, by the way, those things probably ought to be stored on archive.org as well. By the way, see our buddy Joe Taylor is in the group. Welcome, Joe. Dan, if it weren't for the Veterans Readjustment Act, I might never have found a job. Well, all I know is that anyone who goes into the military, particularly voluntarily, anyone who criticizes someone who does that, they can, I'm not going to tell you what I think about it, but I mean, for the sacrifice that these guys make to go out there and give up an awful lot so that you can come back here and talk about what kind of dogs the government can be and is. Anyway, I'll get off that soapbox because I'll probably start saying some ugly words. So, Amnon, I have a question about lessons from Vietnam. Is the listenership growing, or is it steady, or what?
It's mainly the download. I mean, we changed the time to go from, instead of 7 till 8, from 8 till 9, thinking, I mean, when we were at the meeting, people thought that would bring more live viewers. Not really. But the downloads, I mean, people go and watch it afterwards.
Right. All right. But that's another good point. I don't know what's going to happen with this. I'm not so sure, and I'm sorry about my throat. It's a regular thing, unfortunately. But I'm not so sure that the live part matters that much anymore. I believe that the growth is in the downloads, and I think if you're going to do a live show, it's probably you need enough people to participate to make it worthwhile.
I disagree.
Well, okay, run with it.
You get a different. Let's see. You get it's different when you do a show live. It's a lot different, and if you don't believe that it's different, then you need to try it. When you're sitting there doing your show and you're not doing it live, it's two people having a conversation, and then people will listen after the fact. But when you do a show live, it's just this, people are watching you live. You screw something up, it's there. People see it. It is a whole different ball game, and I think that doing it live can help you better the show, because there's none of this, oh well, it's fine, I can just edit that out later thing. You can, but the people that watched it live still saw it live. So if you want to better yourself in either just presenting the show and doing the show without having to, do all these cuts in there to cut the boring segments out, do the show live. And I guarantee you will be less likely to edit the stuff out. I do absolutely no editing on my show.
The only thing why viewers are important for the live, Mike, is the interaction. People to bring up questions.
Yeah, don't misunderstand what I'm saying. That's not what I was saying. I don't listen to very many downloaded podcasts at all. That was exactly the motivation for whenisit.on.net. I want to know what's live right now. If we go to whenisit.on.net and click on a link and all someone is replaying their podcast, they're coming off the calendar. That's not what it's about. It's about live. No one is putting a calendar up there except us about what is live right now that we can listen to. Because particularly with things where there are interactions with the audience, sometimes I get aggravated and I want to interact with the show. How do you interact with a podcast? A recorded podcast? You can't. Right. So I like live, and I totally acknowledge, recognize, and support the idea of audience interaction if that's the type of show that you're doing. Computers 2K Now without audience interaction would be silly. I mean, right. we learn more from the chat room than we know ourselves, and that's really the purpose of the show. And Dan, we will come back to your question. So anyway, I'm all for live, but here's my point. You have to decide for your show, is its primary purpose live or is it a podcast? I don't think you can be the best at both. I think it has to be one or the other. And if you have to pick one, it's the question we asked earlier. If you have to decide to delay the live show to make it right for the downloaded show, is that a worthwhile trade-off? And in my opinion, the answer is yes. Leo Laporte was saying one day, some people were, Leo, from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, Leo's notoriously late showing up for work. And so people would dog on him, and I actually was listening one day, and he was saying, look, this is not radio, it's the internet, it's a new way of doing things. We don't have to live and die by the clock. If I want to start 15 minutes late, I'll start 15 minutes late. Now, I disagree with him. I think it's a bad idea because lives are busy. People, if I want to listen to Computers 2K Now at 9 o'clock, and if I turn it on at 9 o'clock and nothing's there, as far as I'm concerned, they're not doing the show today, particularly if they're not consistent. So but that's his privilege. He's the big cheese. But I agree that live is good, but I think you have to decide where your real focus is. And I guess the point I was making is that if you are recording your show primarily as a podcast, if you have 10 people live when you're doing your show, that's enough to get the live interaction normally. You don't need 250 people listening. In fact, if you can watch this on Leo, if you watch how busy his chat room is, you cannot even focus on what he's saying if you're going to read the chat room because of how quickly things fly by in chat and how many side conversations and discussions are going on. Agree or disagree? This is the part where you say something.
Hello.
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 I don't know. I think that you can be the best of both worlds.
How?
Do your show live, have your live audience in mind, and obviously the download is important too. I'm sorry, but nobody is getting the viewers live that they're getting on downloads.
And I think that's a reality at this point. I mean, I don't. What I'm saying is, I'm not convinced it's a problem.
I don't think it's a problem either. But if you're doing live and you want to continue doing live, you shouldn't stop doing it because people aren't watching you. I just I think that's silly. It doesn't cost any more to do it live.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. And it does add a dimension, but also I'm developing a new pet peeve. And a pet peeve is that if your show is primarily for recorded podcast, then be very careful letting the chat room distract you. Be careful doing inside stuff. Even we very much violate that rule here, because if I look in chat room now and I say, Gary, why are you posting crap in the chat room? What is your objective here? Why are you doing that? And someone listening to the playback of this show says, well, I can't see the chat room. I can't see what Gary wrote in the chat room. Why are you saying that instead of something that I can relate to? It's a valid question. I agree with the question. But, so anyway.
Did you answer Joe's question or no?
I did not. What was Joe's question? Sorry.
Joe just asked, he said it doesn't cost any more to do it live, asking it as a question. And no, it doesn't. You don't have to do your live podcast, you don't have to go out and buy a TriCaster to switch video. Not at all. You run XSplit, you run Open Broadcaster software, you run
Google Hangout.
Google Hangout, exactly. You do not have to spend any money at all. If you have a computer and have a microphone, which you need if you're doing the show live or not live, hell, you don't even need to do video live. Look at you could use Mixler, you could use Google Hangouts without video.
Yeah.
It shouldn't cost anything to do it live unless you're going serious. Unless you plan on doing something serious with it. I've invested into live. I think the live for my show is really important. But it doesn't have to be, but it doesn't cost anything. And Tim's saying Audacity. You can't do live with Audacity, but...
Actually, there's a way, I don't want to get into this, but actually there is a way that you can take Skype calls while streaming to Mixlr without a mix minus using Audacity. It actually uses the routing built into Audacity. If you have any interest in that, and I hope you don't, but if you do, you can go to Mixlr.com, Mixlr.com, go to the FAQs or the blog post or whatever, and there's an interesting article on using the routing in Audacity to create a mix minus feed to Skype while broadcasting through Mixlr.
Yeah, Tim's saying, yeah, there's, but I think there's a lot of podcasts that are over edited. I think that's a serious problem. Just let it flow. Mike, nobody cares. Just let it flow. For a majority of the people, you don't have any audience anyway, so wasting all your time on this editing, that's why I don't bother.
Now, Nick.
It's the truth. No, it is 100% the truth. I do not have a large enough audience where I'm going to sit there and spend 4.5 hours editing my podcast.
Why would and listen, guys, if you think that Nick is being sarcastic here, he's not. Because I follow quite a few podcasting posts throughout the internet. I actually am a moderator on a LinkedIn group, a Google Plus group, a community or whatever they call it, as well as some other places. And there are guys who come in there. There's one guy I saw within the past couple of months who does a 30-minute podcast, and he says it takes him 8 hours to edit out the uhs.
I don't get that.
I don't either. I absolutely don't either. I'm not going to do it. Because think about it. If you're sitting there talking with someone in person, and they've got a bad habit of saying, you don't, there's not a problem. But if that's what you're disposed to do, then that's fine. I will tell you that I became aware of a podcast that a lady here in Raleigh is doing. And she has no technical ability, but she has a buddy who is a recording studio engineer. He set her up to record the show, to take in calls, things like that. Then after the show was done, he edited it, put it all together. It was extremely well done. It was very polished, very well produced. In fact, I even contacted the guy, and I said, I'm just curious, were you trying to do an NPR-type approach? He said, that's exactly what we modeled it after. To which I replied to him, you've done a very good job. And I don't guess they listen now, so I don't mean to insult them, but I think that what he did was took someone who was not very practiced or polished doing podcasting, did a lot of work to it, and made it into a very presentable product. So I understand depending on what you're working with and you want to make a good presentation. But contrary to what you may think, the editing of voice is pretty difficult, because if you start cutting the breathing, if you start editing over the breaths, if someone's listening with headphones or listening very carefully, it can get very unnatural very quickly.
Kent's in the chat. Good morning, Kent. And Kent does or produces the Joe Miller Unplugged show that's live Sunday nights at 9. And so he's the producer for it, which is interesting. Not a lot of people have that. Joe Miller is the host of the show, and from what I understand, Kent does all the producing for it. And I think that's interesting to be able to have somebody produce your show. For I would say 95% of the podcasts, your on-air host is the producer. I think that's interesting, and if that's available to you, I think you should run with it.
Unless you make a lot of money and you can afford somebody to sit there.
Well, yeah, but if you've got if I had a friend that I believed could produce a show or produce on the radar, I'd jump all over that. It'd be great to let somebody switch.
Nick, me damn none.
Oh, well, I'm sorry, Mike. We do HD.
Oh, I'm sorry. He can give you widescreen.
Well, I'm giving up on the other streams because that machine does not want to connect to any of the CDNs, rebooting and nothing.
Internet sounds like a Time Warner problem.
Yeah, Nick.
Well, we're going okay here.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
Kent raises a couple of good issues. he says that it's his problem is getting everyone ready by 9 o'clock Sunday night, so he does a pre-show. Pre-shows are pretty much a standard thing now. Most live podcasters do a pre-show. We don't do one, and I'm curious, Amnon, why don't we do one?
A what?
Pre-show.
Because you guys come at 9:05.
Your point?
No. There's a reason why we don't do a pre-show.
It's the whole show is like a pre-show. I mean,
No, the reason we don't do a pre-show, I believe, is because with Bambuser, it archives the show.
I mean, but I can always stop it and start it. I think others do the same thing. I mean, there are a lot of them that have a pre-show that before they start the actual show, they stop the stream and start it again. When I do that...
I don't know of anybody that does that.
Oh...
I don't know.
I don't know, but that's with Bambuser.
You're using Bambuser for archiving, and most people are not using their CDN as their archive. So my pre-show on Friday lasted almost an hour because we were having audio problems.
Yeah, which is fine.
Pre-shows are necessary, 100% necessary. If you're doing a live show, you need to have some type of pre-show, even if it's 10 minutes. You have to have it. You got to ask people you can't hear everything that's going on.
Be here.
Talking yesterday about Dave Jackson, and Dave, his show is from 10:30 to 11:30. He pretty well sticks to the time limit because he does podcasts. It is a live recorded podcast. He wants the timing to be fairly consistent on the podcast. After the show, after he stopped the show, the after show went on for another hour, and actually had better interaction than he had during the show because he doesn't feel like he's following the formatted structure and so forth.
Yeah,
that's a thing that's in. But also another situation that that we ran into with Kent is Kent has a Windows 8 computer, and he's doing Kent's stream is he's running Wirecast, but he has Windows 8 computer. He's also using Zoom.us as his video software, and he's also using Skype. So what that means is he has a mixer, 1204, I think, as I remember, Kent, which has the USB output. So anyway, he has, in essence, 3 sound cards. He can send the program stream to his computer using the Behringer built-in USB, but he also has the built-in sound card in his computer, and he added a second sound card. He bought a cheap PCIe sound card, and when we looked at it on Amazon, it did not mention any Windows 8 drivers. We kept trying to get things to work and to get the audio from the aux send into the sound card and into Skype, and we never got it to work. Kent then ordered a Creative Audigy or whatever that card is. It's not a very expensive card, like a $30 sound card. Put it in his computer, and all of a sudden, as I think Kent, correct me if I'm wrong, Kent, but putting the new sound card in solved the problem. Which means that, and as I recall, the original sound card had Windows 7 drivers. We have assumed that if a piece of hardware has Windows 7 drivers, it's going to work in Windows 8. And as I think I'm stating it correctly, that was not Kent's experience. His sound card, it was a cheap no-name sound card, which normally those work fine, but it did not work in his Windows 8 computer, and the new one did. So if you're going to buy a new sound card for your Windows 8 computer, at this point, I would very strongly recommend that you read carefully and it specifically indicate that there are Windows 8 drivers for that sound card. That'll keep you from wasting time and wasting money. And Kent, at this point, are you good to go? Is everything working now? Do we have everything all set up and working? I think we do. And Kent's got a pretty good setup there with Wirecast, with the integration that he's doing with the various sources.
Rudy in chat is saying that he can't afford to do live. It's too expensive. And the justification is I can't afford all these plans. And I'm guessing he jumped in after we had that little conversation about Google Hangouts, but you don't have to spend a dime doing live. Roger's saying live is free. It does not have to. It can. If you want to go purchase Wirecast, if you want to make the stream as best as you could, yes, it will cost you, but it doesn't have to. I would say half of the shows that are on the When Is It On calendar are on Air Google Plus Hangouts.
I'd be interested in knowing what you're saying, Rudy. Because he's in Belgium, obviously things may be different. But I'm interested when you say live is too expensive or what have you. What are you suggesting? What are you saying that where the money is? I don't know. Maybe we haven't stated something correctly, or we don't understand your question. Because Rudy's around now. He posts in a lot of the places where I am, and he's pretty knowledgeable about this stuff. So I'd be interested, Rudy, in hearing what you think any impediment is to doing it live.
And Timer is saying that OBS is free. That's another alternative if Wirecast isn't your cup of tea. There's free alternatives for everything. There really
Haven't
is.
you used OBS, Nick?
I have. I used it for gaming, and it was great. A lot of podcasts to follow these days. Guys are getting sponsored by. Rudy, that doesn't answer the question though. We're trying to figure out. We're trying to figure out
what roadblock is for live broadcasting.
What do you think? What is
a roadblock?
Yeah, and there are roadblocks, but when it specifically comes to costs, what is the thing that's stopping you there?
And another thing too, isn't vMix really cheap?
vMix. There's a free version of vMix that is SD. That's an alternative. XSplit. There's a free version of XSplit that lets you stream to like one CDN. There are things out there.
But again, if Tom Merritt is doing Hangouts on air, and he's making $140,000 a year from donations, so I mean he's got nothing invested.
Let's see. He says Google Live is okay, but for instance, not many people are using it over here. And Rudy, do you know why that is? Is it just people just don't want to use it, or is there availability problems?
Rudy, what is your internet bandwidth? How much bandwidth do you have available to you, and is it unlimited, or do you have to pay certain levels? Are you dealing with bandwidth limits or bandwidth costs? Maybe your situation is different there than it is here. Here in the United States, at least for now, with most of the major carriers, we pay a monthly fee, and there's no bandwidth cap yet. And when it works pretty well. So you can't. If you use, Roger's talking about if you use Ustream, they have a free version of their producer, which is actually written by the Wirecast guys, Telestream. And but Ustream, I can't imagine anybody using Ustream because their mid-roll ads are just horrible, totally horrible. Horrible. Which is another issue, and that is that I have a question. Well, let's answer Dan's question first. Dan posted a Sweetwater.com link where he says he wants to know if this Sweetwater Custom Computing Creation Station 450. Here you go, Amnon. Listen to these.
Post it.
I'm listening.
All right. So Rudy's got 150 by 10 with download being limited. 150 by 10 is pretty awesome. There's not a bandwidth problem.
Can you repost the Sweetwater link?
Yep.
But it scrolled by.
Yeah, let me get by here. There you go. So here is this custom. It's a 3.5 gigahertz Xeon 4-core rack-mountable CPU with 16 gig of RAM, one 240 gigabyte SSD, 2 terabyte hard drive, Windows 7, Thunderbolt port, and software suite. $2,700.
I know why it's so expensive. They're using Noctua fans.
Okay, but the question is not whether it's expensive. The question is whether it's worth it.
No, I don't think so.
There's not even a capture card built into it. You're still going to have to drop, depending on what you're doing with capture cards, probably another, and cameras, maybe another $1,000 for
What about this Xeon 4-core? Is 3.5 gigahertz? Is that pretty state of the art now?
It's a Xeon. I don't even know why you'd need it.
For what? What is this for?
Well, I mean, if Dan's asking the question, I guess he's going to use it for his podcast.
I don't know why you'd buy this for a podcast.
You can do an audio podcast on a Pentium 3.
Right.
If you're going to spend close to $3,000, more than $3,000, probably $3,500. Even let's say $4,000, you're going to have to buy other equipment to go along with this. You might as well just buy a TriCaster at that point.
If you have the money, go for it.
No, I would not buy this if you have the money.
This show right now and all the other shows here are produced on a probably 6-year-old computer. It's an HP 8600. It's got dual Xeon 2.9 or 3.1, I can't remember. It has 8 gig of RAM. And, of course, it's got the capture card in there and all that kind of stuff. But the computer itself, when I bought it 3 years ago, was $400. It is built. It's built like a tank. And it works.
This is your main streaming computer?
That's the one that we're doing everything here with, yeah.
Okay.
This is overkill. If you want to do video, then you need to buy a TriCaster if you've got money. If you have the money. If you're willing to spend $3,000 on this computer, just go buy yourself a TriCaster and be done with it.
My guess, Dan, is that this computer is probably intended for a major recording studio where they have 128 tracks running Pro Tools.
Yeah.
It's just way overkill.
Yeah, I mean there's really no reason for it.
Roger just posted in chat, and we talked a little bit about this a few weeks ago. And then we're going to answer Joe Taylor's question. Roger's asking what our thoughts are about the new CDNs, like Stream Up and JustCast. And I seem to have a differing opinion from somewhere else. But the problem with these services is they launch. They're initially ad-free to some extent. But then, like everything else, they've got to make money somehow. And then these smaller sites just end up becoming as bad as Ustream is. And that's just the unfortunate truth. There's no other option. They're not making any money, and they've got to start plastering the websites with ads, pre-rolls, mid-rolls, the little pop-ups at the bottom, sidebar ad.
Look. I mean, yeah, I know we differ on this on why you use it for as long as you can. Now, if you have the money to pay $300-400 a month for a stream that will allow you to do it, call it a more stable CDN, okay? And there it goes again. Come on back. Okay.
And we're
you can, again, if you have the money, go ahead and join and pay monthly. But for doing one show, for somebody to do a once a day, once a week, whatever show, and most people don't do once a day, they do once a week or even less often. To pay $300 a month, Nick, is $300 a month or $400 a month, and we can't hear you. Why? Did you talk?
No.
Oh, I thought you were talking. It's not an option.
Yeah, but the analogy you're making is totally false.
Now, wait a second. Let's assume that we had all kind of problems with not staying on the air right now.
No, I mean, you have to go back to that. You have to go back to what you said.
Okay, let's go back.
You said you're doing one podcast a week.
Yeah.
And it's going to cost you $400 a month to get a CDN?
If
What
you,
you
if you,
Commercial free.
it all depends.
it's not,
How-
no, not at all. That's not how much paid CDNs cost.
Oh, really?
That's Amnon and I were going through them last night, running some numbers. If you're going to have any viewership at all,
If you're okay, so Amnon, please state again what you said. You said you're doing one show a week. If you're doing one show a week, you're not running replays. If you do one show a week, you're not running 24-hour reruns of the same show.
That's not the point. I mean, here you can get for $49 or $39, let's say, from Bamboozer a month, but that's 25 viewer hours. You can go to any of the others. If you're going to pay the $20 and $30 and $50 a month, it's very low user hours. That's how they charge you more. They say you can have as many broadcasts as you want, but the way that they limit you is how many viewer hours.
It's based on how many people are watching, yes.
Correct. So if you're going to, let me ask you this: why aren't you paying for CDN?
Because I have no reason to.
Okay, why don't you have a reason? You're doing a show, it's important to you, and that's my next point why I was driving it. Why are you doing it on a free CDN?
Because I don't want to pay for something.
Okay,
but not because it costs $400 a month.
Oh, for somebody who wants to do it and they have enough people to say, no, of course you can go to Google Live, Hangouts on Air Live and all that. That will not cost you. But if you want a CDN, that is, we were talking about those CDNs that keep coming and going. Those are the ones, and the reason why they start charging is because they need to make money. Because it's costing them money. I mean, Google has deep pockets. So, how much is to get a Ustream account?
No, that's not what you wouldn't buy a Ustream Pro account. If you're doing that, then you're not understanding this whole thing.
Exactly. So what you do? So here's So now let me go back to what I was saying. So you do it on a free CDN that may not be stable, and in the middle of the show it may just go away, but you are recording it. And what's important for you in the podcast is that you have the recording and you can keep on talking. Never mind, the live we already established is not that important. And then you post it on YouTube or wherever, and you have your show posted right there. That's what you do. You don't care much about how many views you have live, but you want it to be on YouTube and wherever else so people can come and download it later. So I will not spend, I paid for a year. I paid the cast $20 a month just as insurance. So I said, if something goes down, then I can always connect to the cast. And I don't care if there's one. I'm not going to even publicize it. But if something goes down, I can have people go to the cast.
you're still paying for the cast?
No, I
Your
canceled
price
it.
is still totally off, though. 100%. It's not. You're not even in the ballpark, Amnon.
Well, look, here again, we're talking about...
I'm looking at a CDN right now. Would you like to know what I'm looking at?
Which one?
Which one?
I'm looking at Scale Engine. You can stream it.
How much?
9,000. Hold on.
Go ahead.
You can stream it 900 kbps. Let me bump this up to a meg.
Yeah,
You can stream it 1024,
yeah,
which is 1 megasecond.
yeah.
96K audio, 600 live viewers, concurrent 600 live viewers.
Yeah, on Bamboozer, it's unlimited.
Okay, well, yeah, but
Yeah,
if you're buying from Bamboozer, that's not the
understand.
same thing.
This is all marketing. Go to the meat of things. Keep going.
600 live viewers. That's 600 people watching at the exact same
Right.
time. A 60-minute stream.
Okay, that knocks it off right away for our show, right? So keep
Wait a
going.
minute. Hang on.
Okay,
Amnon.
okay. How long is this show? How long is the show?
3
3
hours.
Okay.
No,
hold on.
but keep going. So it's 60
Hold on,
minutes.
hold on. I want to make this just for Computers 2K now. I want to show you this.
Okay.
How many people do you think you have watching?
We'll
I
say
mean,
it's
right
100.
now we have 27, 28, 30 people, let's say.
Okay, so let me go to
30.
100 would
180
be
hours.
growth proof.
Okay, so let's go to 100. Oh, come on. 150 for 180 minutes. And that's if you had 150 concurrent the whole time, it would be $44.
Okay.
Per show.
Per show, if you had 150 people watching the whole time, that means not 149, 150 people watching for 180 minutes straight.
Right, but here's my question about that. Do they charge you just for the viewers, or do you have to buy the capacity even if you don't use it? That's where they get you on a lot of these.
Well, you're paying for the capacity.
The maximum capacity. So let's say that you bought like right now we could get away with 50.
It's just a calculator. This isn't actually the price. This is just a calculator.
Put a link on it. I'm curious because I've never heard of them.
No, this is who I've used.
Yeah, I looked at it.
$28 for 25 concurrent live viewers for an hour for 3 hours. That would be perfectly fine for Computers 2K now.
Right, but I mean.
It's not the case. It's not $400. It's not $500.
It is looking at the ones we looked at, Nick, because he and I were going through it last night.
But who are you looking at?
I don't remember. One of them we were looking at was Bambuser, wasn't it, Amnon?
That's because you're buying. But that's because you're buying it through a CDN that's failing. They need to make more.
No, okay. So hey, wait. Ustream. It's failing.
You're buying
that's
it from
Ustream.
They're targeting enterprise. They're not targeting podcasts.
Well, that's what Bambuser does.
Correct.
Bambuser doesn't target podcasters. They kicked everybody off their service, and they want people streaming from the iPhone.
Yeah, not for $300 and $400 a month.
No, they want Al Qaeda.
Exactly. They're not targeting podcasters, and the Ustream is built for enterprise. It's not built for Amnon Nissan to use it.
That's. I mean, let me tell you here in a second. Let me tell you how many viewer hours Nissan Communications.
I don't know what viewer hours means.
How many viewer hours? That's what you're looking there at 180.
No. That is not what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the stream duration, how long you were streaming for. It has nothing to do with viewer hours. That's 2 cents that charge by that. Go look at the page. It's asking you how long you stream for. If you stream for 3 hours and you have a concurrent 50 viewers on your show.
Right.
And then what do you stream at?
That's 150 viewing hours.
No, it's not. They don't.
That's actually it is. It's 3 times 50.
Yeah, but they don't count. That's not how they.
Well, that's how most of them are doing it.
If you say so.
All right, here we go, Nick.
Yeah.
And again, we weren't shopping when we were playing around. We weren't shopping for a CDN to do it. We were just looking at what was available based on the services we were familiar with. We were just looking for the fun of it. But what I did is I went back to the same calculator that you posted the link to, and the video bit rate, 1 megabit, audio I reduced to 64K, which is enough. Concurrent live viewers, 75. Stream duration, 180 minutes. Total data streamed, 105 gigabytes. Delivered video price estimate, $34.45. So that's $35 per week.
Yeah.
All right, so times 4, that's $140 a month, right?
Okay.
Well, some of these others we were looking at with bigger numbers were in the $200 to $300 range, so this page is not totally inconsistent with some of the other pricing we were looking at. That's all I was saying.
Well, when the problem is Amnon said that it costs $400 to do a podcast live a week, and that's not the case. It doesn't cost anywhere near $400.
No, it doesn't cost Amnon anything. As far as
yes, but you said the only number that you said was 400.
Here. Let me go. Here's Computers 2K Now statistics from Bambuser. They're showing that in this month so far it used 386 viewing hours.
Okay.
That is without actually directing people to Bambuser. That's because the main one was JustCast. If I go to February of this year, it is 2,100 hours. Go and figure that out, how much it would have cost if I was just using Scalar.
All right. Well, let's skip the.
That's the thing is.
Have you saying you've used Scale Engine, Nick?
Yes.
And how is their service?
Unbelievable. They're
making money. They have people to be there.
It's dirt cheap, and it's the Mike that show you watched me on with the lawyer.
Yes.
He uses Scale Engine. I set him up with it. I've got 4 people that are using Scale Engine that I manage.
Donovan says Jupiter Broadcast uses them.
They do. Yeah, they are. The guy that owns Jupiter co-hosts the show.
But you see,
guy that
go ahead.
owns Scale Engine co-hosts the show on Jupiter. So they're using it.
We are digressing.
Well, I'm looking
Digesting.
on this page the page at the link that Nick posted, and this company does something that I think is really not a good idea. Down the page, halfway, 2/3 of the way down the page, they have a section called Price Comparisons. And what they do is they give a list of all their competitors. Some of them I've never heard of. So if I were looking for a CDN, I'd have to investigate every one of those to see if I might like them better than doing business with Scale Engine.
But for example, if I look at doing my show, 25 concurrent live viewers for 60 minutes, it's $26 an episode.
Well, it's over $100 a month, and
It is over $100 a month. But if you're making money doing your show,
right,
then $26 an episode is nothing at all.
I would agree, and I think the day of everything being free and so forth, those days are going to come to an end. It's just I don't know if the market's getting too big or Mama's money's running out in terms of funding the company. Or I don't know what's going on with it, but I think the day of everything being free is going to go away. Now, having said that, that takes us to the next question, and I don't know if you've seen or heard this anywhere. I'm curious, is there any suggestion, knowing that Amazon operates S3 and Amazon Web Services, is there any suggestion that Twitch may be opened up to non-gamers?
No.
But you know that's not going to happen.
I know it's not going to happen.
How?
Because Twitch is built for gaming. It would not work for regular people streaming.
Why is that?
Because the way they've got the site laid out, when you start streaming on Twitch, you have to select a game that you're playing. That's how the site works. If they were to open it up to everybody, they'd have to totally redo the site. Leo's streaming on Twitch. Yeah, there are a few. So is Andrew.
Says Leo is streaming on Twitch.
Yeah, they moved people over that were big on JTV to Twitch, but they're not opening it up for people that are non-gamers. You might get away with it for a little while, but they'll kick you off if you're not gaming.
You don't know what Amazon is going to do. I mean, they may decide, okay, we want to get into the game, and here we have. It's perfect for that, and they may have a section for gamers and another section for.
A lot of times, a company.
Well, I'm just telling you, if they were to do that, Google may as well have bought them, because that will totally kill it. The whole point, Twitch is not built for people that are streaming movies and TV shows like every other CDN. That's not what it's made for. It's built for gaming. So.
Let me ask a quick question from you. Hangout specialists. When we rejoined, it's not widescreen anymore.
Double click on the big video.
Jeez. Okay.
Did that fix it?
Yep.
Okay.
So you can go back and forth between 4:3 and 16:9?
It's not really 4:3. It's just zooming in the picture. It's not 4:3. It's cutting it.
But here's the thing that I do know, not about this particular situation, but I do know that companies like Amazon, when they want to get into a market, if they don't understand the marketing and the inside of the way something works, they'll buy the company just to see into the heads of the executives. And we don't know yet. But and they'll pay $1 billion for it because theoretically they can get their investment back. But they very well could have bought Twitch to understand how the entire CDN thing operates.
Well, and people have speculated about that, but Amazon's already running a CDN. I mean, S3 is exactly what Twitch is. It's just you're paying like 25 cents a gig for it or whatever. I mean, they don't need help with with streaming with a CDN. Amazon's already got that down pat. They bought it because of the community. Did you guys see the article about Twitch's viewer hours?
No.
They have, let me pull up the article exactly. But Twitch, prime time Twitch TV, let's see, prime time Twitch, according to The Verge, prime time Twitch TV traffic has passed HLN, CNN, the E! Network, MSNBC, True TV, and MTV's prime time viewer hours. They have exceeded all of those cable networks in terms of viewer hours. They didn't buy it for the technology. They bought it because there's almost 1 million people watching their stuff concurrently.
Gaming.
Yeah, gaming, which is fine.
Gaming,
I mean,
all gaming.
and nothing wrong with that.
The people are there.
Totally.
And a year ago, they weren't even bigger than HLN, which is like the smallest of the major cable networks.
So tell us again why they shut down Justin.
I'm not. I think they shut down Justin because they weren't making any money, and there was just so many people using it for streaming TV shows and music. I think
Streaming stuff nobody wants to watch.
Well, just streaming stuff. Exactly. People may want to watch it, but it's not something that they can monetize. I mean, how are they going to monetize Mike Phillips streaming an illegal movie?
So Nick, what resolution do they allow you to stream at?
Who, Twitch?
Twitch.
You can do up to 1080p, 60 frames a second at 25 megabits.
What are
is
you
the
doing?
highest they allow. What am I doing for on the radar or regularly?
No, on the radar. Well, I mean, you're calling it, if you want, a lower.
Yeah, well, because I'm on one computer,
Right.
and I don't have great bandwidth. I'm doing. Let me get the exact.
I mean,
resolution.
roughly. I mean, are you cutting it in
No.
half?
Let me hold on. Let me open Wirecast. I wanna be accurate with this. Hold on. Here comes Wirecast.
While you're looking, Roger was asking about live stream. I haven't thought about or heard about live stream in a long time. How are things going with live stream?
They've pushed into the hardware market with these new little boxes that they have out.
Well, I mean, they're joining a big group of people that have hardware, but they're still doing.
Thing or bad thing?
They're still doing software. I mean, they're still doing whatever they were doing, but with live stream now, if you want to watch, you have to be registered.
Yeah, which is kind of
and if you want to do pro, which is without the ads and all that, then it's expensive too.
But is live stream the one where you cannot do an embed?
Yes.
If you are not pro.
You can embed.
Yeah, same thing with JustCast. You have to pay.
Yeah, you have to be a VIP in order to get an embed.
So quickly going back to this Twitch thing, for On the Radar I'm doing 960 by 540, 30 frames a second at 700 kbps.
Okay.
So that's what, and then I'm doing.
All right.
Let me look at exactly what I'm doing for Dailymotion. In Dailymotion, I'm doing 720p at 1.5 meg. So total with Skype, I'm using probably close to 3.5, 4 megs out of 5.5. So.
And when you upload that video to YouTube,
okay,
what resolution is it over there?
Well, I don't upload to YouTube, but Dailymotion, I record in 720p. I do 720p at, I want to say, like...
and they leave it at 720p?
Who does?
Dailymotion?
Yeah.
They don't compress it or...
Well, they transcode, but they do have a 720p.
Okay.
You upload to Dailymotion?
Yeah.
Yeah. They transcode it, but they leave the regular resolution of the video.
because I was talking with Katie yesterday, and she does her graphics work in HD. And
What's HD?
In 1080p.
Okay.
But when she puts it online for people to see it, she has to. It's cut back.
Oh yeah,
because
1080p
people
files are monstrous.
Because people would not be able. I mean, it's too big, and there's no. She said there's no reason for it.
Yeah, exactly. There's you could do you could do 1080p, but there's really no need for it.
Right.
I've really never understood this notion about not uploading something higher quality because people won't be able to download it. I mean, you just look at YouTube is doing transcoding. If you upload it 720p or 1080p, it really doesn't matter either way. Because you can watch it at 480p or 360p if you want to.
True.
So this whole notion of, oh, well, I've got to let people in West Africa be able to watch my show that don't have high bandwidth, I don't think it's a valid argument. Unless you're storing it on your own web server or your own server where you're paying for the bandwidth, it makes sense. But for YouTube,
you have to be a quote unquote YouTuber and a little bit more than your average person that goes and watches, because you don't know that you can change
Well, by default, it doesn't load 1080p, and by default, it doesn't load 720p.
I don't know what it defaults to. I have no idea.
It loads 360 it loads either 360 or 480
See,
by default. Anybody that's watching anything on YouTube knows how to change the resolution.
No.
And if they don't, then they're not watching something that needs to be higher quality.
And on Dailymotion, it defaults to 720.
Correct.
Well, I mean,
there's a point where people have to be able to wake up and say, all right, well, if I have a low bandwidth, then I need to click on that. I mean,
right. I mean, when you get used to it, I mean, now when I watch something, I go and I make it 380 because I do other stuff. I don't want this to take, because I'm hardly ever watching it, because I'm listening. I'm not watching.
Yeah, but people have to have the accountability too. I'm sorry, but. I'm not degrading the quality of my show because you can't figure out how to freaking click 360p. I'm sorry, but the people have to, if you want to be able to take advantage of what's on the internet, have it be a podcast or a video on YouTube, people need to be able to change the resolution. People need to be able to have the accountability, and the content creators, like yourself and like Kate, she should not have to worry about not uploading a bigger file because people may not know to change the resolution.
Yeah. Okay.
People need to be aware.
I'll go for that.
And be able to use the tools. I'm so sick of having to listen to people say that.
Roger's asking an interesting question. He said, if you were going to go with one CDN, which one would you pick?
Right now?
No, next week.
Well, it depends. If it's not gaming right now,
that's a good point. If it's not gaming.
Well, if it's not gaming, shit, I'm probably going with Stream Up or JustCast right now.
I'm going to do something while you guys carry on.
Maybe not JustCast. I'd go with Stream Up right now, and that's what I'm going to be using for my my SnowCam.
I know that the video is gone.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Amnon had exactly the right idea with regard to why are we.
He said that there's a problem with the video, but they can still hear us.
I moved it to the other. I moved it to the same monitor. I want to see if that makes a difference for that jumping. It's back.
Okay. Anyway, I think Amnon has the right idea with regard to how to manage the multiplicity of CDNs. When you go to computers2know.com/live.php, you bring up whichever one Amnon has selected for the week. And what that means is that if you set a deep link to a Bamboozer link or whatever he's streaming to at the moment, if you set a bookmark to one of those, you may go there like today and find out there's nothing there. However, if you always go to computers2know.com/live.php, you're going to find hopefully one that's working for the week, which right now is Bamboozer. Sometimes Bamboozer works, sometimes it doesn't.
Let me tell you, and this is true only for Computers 2K Now. If you go now during the week and you go by default, because it's Bamboozer, it will show you last week's show automatically because it's archived over there. If you click on any of the other ones, it'll show you whatever is being broadcasted 24/7, which probably will be a different show. On the Nissan communication side, everything is part of the 24/7 reruns. So only on Computers 2K Now, if you go there during the week, you will always watch by default the latest show.
But I think using your website to manage the current stream is the way to go, and to whenever you're driving traffic to your show, then you should drive it to your website. And if you have to change CD, if Bamboozer goes down right now, Amnon can log in and change some commenting in the code, hit refresh, boom, there's a new default.
Don't say that, because at this point I cannot.
Well, normally that's the way it works.
Don't jinx it. I keep trying to connect to the other ones, and they will not connect. It's something on my side, I'm sure.
Yeah, but Alan says he couldn't get the live one on Stitcher. The live what?
The what?
Alan says I couldn't get the live one on Stitcher.
The audio is working just fine. Stitcher should be working just fine.
Yeah. Stitcher gets its feed from g12.com, which always works. Almost always works.
It's the same as clicking on audio only right here. And hopefully I hope it works.
Yeah, I don't know about Stitcher.
Yeah, it works. I just tested it.
Okay.
But G12.com, if there is a problem linking to Stitcher or to anything else, you can always go to G12.com and get the actual feed, which actually takes you to the computer at the studio where the feed is originating.
Correct.
It's as straight an arrow as you can get.
All right, let's see. Here's something that's involving a lot of us. Nobody seems to know for sure whether Threshold and Windows 9 will be one and the same or separate operating systems, reports Woody Leonard in his roundup of insight on Microsoft's forthcoming OS plans, expected September 30th. Many people think the terms are synonymous, but longtime Chinese leaker Fakey continues to maintain that they are two separate products, possibly headed in different directions. Neowin senior editor and columnist Brad Sams appeared to have access to the most recent test builds, possibly on a daily basis. He doesn't talk about details, but the items he's let drop on the Neowin forums leave an interesting trail of crumbs. Either way, the next iteration of Windows will have a lot to say about the kind of Microsoft to expect as Satya Nadella cements his leadership over the flagship OS. So nobody really knows, but apparently September 30th, we're supposed to see a new operating system, or at least a beta, or an announcement. Say again?
What date?
September 30th.
Because a good friend of mine's getting ready to buy a new computer, and I don't know what to tell him to buy.
Windows 7. XP.
I don't know about that. I don't know.
I'm just kidding.
I know you are.
Now, listen to this. Excerpt from Ars Technica about Comcast data caps that aren't data caps. Customers must pay more if they exceed limits, but it's not a cap, they say. Comcast says, for the past couple of years, Comcast has been trying to convince journalists and the general public that it doesn't impose any data caps on its internet service. That's despite the fact that Comcast in some cities enforces limits on the amount of data customers can use and issues financial penalties for using more than the allotment. Comcast has said this type of billing will probably roll out to its entire national footprint within 5 years, perhaps alongside a pricier option to buy unlimited data. Comcast's then new approach was touted to effectively offer unlimited usage of our services because customers will have the ability to buy as much data as they want. That's why they call it unlimited, because people will be able to pay for whatever they want. This is like the early days of dial-up. Unlimited. 120 hours and that's it. That's what we have to wait to look forward to, huh?
Somebody was posting something last day or two where it wasn't Time Warner or Comcast, but their provider was sent out this email saying that they had made significant changes to help improve the customer experience and to make the service more useful and beneficial, all this crap.
Yeah.
And all it was a rate increase.
Huh?
So what's happening with Comcast and Time Warner? When is that going to happen?
The end of the year. They're still talking about the end of the year.
I don't think it's going to happen.
What?
You don't think so?
You don't think what?
I don't think it's going to end up happening.
Oh, I mean, it's as far as I know, the deal is already done. It's just when we'll see.
I thought it was still in. I thought the FCC was still.
It'll be great if they'll follow the same route that Twitch took, and Comcast is not going to buy them. But I think it's
the updated
wishful
speeds would
thinking.
be nice, but their support is horrendous.
Yeah, well. HP received 29 reports of the melting or charring power cords. 2 that included claims of minor burns and 13 claims of minor property damage. The black power cords were distributed with HP and compact notebooks and mini notebooks computers and with AC adapter powered accessories such as docking station and have an LS15 molded mark on the AC adapter. About 5.6 million power cords were sold in the United States, while 446.7 were sold in Canada from September 2010 to June 2012 at electronic stores and HP.com. So if you have a power, it's a brick. It's a power supply. Power adapter that has that it says LS-15. I think LS-15 is a type of plug, right, Mike?
Mike is not here.
Oh, he's not here. And it's an HP or compact. You need to give him a call. Maybe there is a way to get a new one. And we were talking about data storage. Seagate announced that it has begun shipping the world's first 8 terabyte hard drive. The 8 terabyte hard drive comes only 5 months after Western Digital released the first ever 6 terabytes. Up until then, Seagate's high-capacity HDDs have been shipping only to select enterprise clients. The 8 terabyte hard drive comes in a 3.5-inch form factor and, according to the manufacturer, features a SATA gigabits. Is it gigabits or gigabytes? Nick?
In what context?
The SATA 6
Oh, it'd be 6 gigabits.
interface and multi-drive RV tolerance, which makes it suitable for data centers. It's unclear what technology the drive is based on, or if PMR, perpetual magnetic recording, or low resistance helium technology was employed. So you'll never know unless you open it, or if the drive starts floating in the air, right? Then you know that it's using the helium stuff.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, right. And what happened Wednesday morning on Time Warner, Nick?
I don't know. I wasn't affected by it.
You were not?
I was not.
I thought it was
You
a
did.
national thing.
You need to ask Mike. I was not affected.
It was regionalized, but it was pretty broad.
It was regional. There were people here that had the problem, but I was not affected, luckily.
When I woke up, and I have 2 computers that I use regularly. I'm using 3 or 4 right now, but one of them, for some reason, I had hard-coded the DNS, so I got up and I turned on one computer, and it's working fine. And my other computer, I could not access the internet. Did some investigation, rebooted the modem because it's this crappy Netgear router. I rebooted that, but nothing came up, nothing would work. Yet the one that had the hard-coded DNS worked, so I hard-coded the DNS in the router, and then mine worked fine. It's still hard-coded. In fact, which DNS service, I wonder, should I be using?
I'm still using Time Warner's.
It'll be the fastest.
Not necessarily true, no.
Oh, you don't have to go out to get it.
Yeah, but theirs is slow.
Time Warner has actually changed that speedtest.twccable.net,
Okay.
.com, whatever it is.
.com.
They've changed that.
It's speedtest.twc.nc.com.
.com. But it used to test to the node nearest your house, so it would give you zero latency and all that crap.
Yeah.
They now are throwing it out on the internet, and it's picking servers like speedtest.net is doing.
Yeah, but look at it up to what speed they're checking.
Well, I understand, but I'm
500.
saying that I used to be getting 8 and 9 milliseconds ping time, which means that it's a server within sight of my house, and now it's 20 to 30 milliseconds.
I tried it a couple of times and I didn't see the latency. It checks for it, but it doesn't display it. Well, not anywhere near the download and upload anyway.
It's at the end of the test. It used to display it as soon as it tested it. Now it waits until the end of the test to display it.
Oh, well. I still like testmy.net better.
What is it?
Testmy.net.
Yeah, I like them too.
Testmy.net. Let's see what that is. Testmy.net.
They claim that it's more correct.
They're both pretty accurate. Speed testing. I mean, there's techie people that will say they're both accurate. They're both totally inaccurate, but what do they know?
Well,
so.
And another thing here that's really bad. It appears yet another once trusted source for downloads has succumbed to the dark side. FileHippo has decided to join the ranks of CNET, Downloads.com, and others, and is now offering software downloads via its own download manager, which includes adware offers. I'm hoping that a lot of the companies that go by default there will not go there. Like CCleaner in many cases gets it from there. Malwarebytes gets it from there as a mirror.
Well, it's worse than that because what is the name of this ISO burner package that I use.
I don't know.
Think of the name of it in a minute.
Damien Tools?
No, it's a big one, but it's not that one. But anyway, they have actually started packaging malware in their official download. If you're not careful when you install the program, you put some ugly crap on your computer. I'll find it in a minute. So be careful when you're installing a free program, that even if it's one you've been using forever, don't just click OK. You have to. In fact, one of the tricks that some of these clowns have started doing is whenever you're asked to OK, do you agree to this license agreement? The license agreement, you normally click OK, I agree. That's for the malware. You have to put decline, click on decline, then the regular utility will go ahead and install without the malware. It's really scammy. Be careful. Just get a Mac.
Practice safe computing.
Where is the name of
Always.
this program? ImageBurn. IMGBURN.
ImageBurn, yep.
A very good program. It just works. Like a Mac.
What kind of antivirus do you guys run?
Well, that's a great question. I'm running Microsoft Security Essentials on my Windows 7 computer, and I am running Avast on my XP computers.
Same here.
How about chat? What are you guys running?
The
Chat.
No, guys in chat. What are they running?
Oh.
They're all running to their keyboards to type and tell us.
Mm-hmm.
Always check the program list after installing.
Yeah, to see if it installs any weird things.
Well, I will also tell you that I'm part of a 4,000 lawyer list serve. They have about 3 people in there who are really technically competent. And those guys were really dogging on Microsoft Security Essentials last week, saying that a lot of the reviews of it are not good. And what I replied to there was, if you don't click on all that crap, the worst one out there will work. So, if you don't, just be careful. Don't go out and click on stuff you don't know what you're looking at.
Would you believe me if I told you I didn't run any antivirus at all?
I actually have several computers that I'm not running any at all.
I don't run any antivirus, and I have no reason to run antivirus. I'm not downloading stuff from freecoolgames.com.
But Steve says he's running ESET, Smart Security on all machines. And ESET, now let's see, what did Trend become? Trend morphed into something else.
Was Trend Nod 32?
Trend
I
Micro.
think that sounds well.
ESET owns Nod 32 now.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. That, and what's the one that begins with a K?
Kaspersky.
I've only heard good stuff about that, particularly with regard to the amount of resources it takes on a machine. Whichever one it is, I don't remember, but there are several good ones out there, but I don't see the benefit of paying for one at this point.
Yeah, it's simple as don't go to sites, or don't download stuff from sites you don't trust, and you can't possibly get a virus.
2 of the recommendations that I would make are A, avoid McAfee, and B, avoid anything with Symantec or Norton's name on it.
And it's hard to avoid McAfee.
It is, because what is it? Is it Flash that wants to install it when they do a Flash update every other day?
Flash wants to install it, but the big problem is, and I've dealt with this a lot in my family, is that, grandmother buys a computer from QVC, and it comes with a free year of McAfee. And no matter what I say, they always renew McAfee, and it's running on all the machines.
Well, I wonder how McAfee really is right now. I mean, I know for a while it was horrible. Has anyone actually used it lately?
It's still a total piece of junk. I mean, it throws your CPU through the roof when it's doing something. It's just as bad as
bloated.
Yeah, it's like Ubuntu. So bloated, it's almost unusable. AVG is also a good one.
Tim says he used to use it, AVG, and
oh yeah, we used to swear by it.
I don't remember. Oh, I know what the problem was with AVG. It kept spamming me, wanting me to sign up for this and register for that and some other stuff. I got rid of it. I think it was AVG.
Yeah, and like Tim says, it used to slow the computer almost to a crawl, and what you had to do is uninstall and reinstall it, just like Norton Antivirus was. It would really mess things up. So that's why no more. Avast seems to work really, really, really good. I mean, it is a good. I'm even tempted to go and buy the commercial one from them.
Well, what would that get you?
Every now and then it'll come up and it says that they found a bunch of junk that's slowing the computer down. If you try to say go ahead and clean it, they want you to buy the.
I'd uninstall that software as quick as possible.
Why?
So you said that you love Avast,
Yeah.
and it tells you that there's stuff on your computer that could potentially be harming it.
No, not harming you, slowing the computer down. It's junk that I can do the same thing. It's probably temporary files and things like that CCleaner takes care of. No, not harming.
Well,
I can't remember what they call it.
I don't think I'd want to use software that's like that. That kind of defeats the purpose.
Shoot. Oh, dang it. I potted it. I forgot to pot up. Computers took a voice. Now that we don't have Steve here, I forget, and who knows how many were calling in.
Well, who was just calling?
I have no idea. I just saw that there was. Hello.
Hey, this is Pete.
Hey, Pete.
How you doing?
All right, man.
I tried the Skype thing. Didn't work.
Oh, that's because I was not hearing the ringing because it was potted down. The volume was down on it because I was doing other stuff.
Okay.
The
new virus, or at least I heard, the chip that is on all of your USB flash drives and anything that is USB, there is a chip that goes along with that allows your system to see it, has now been compromised. I heard in some of the broadcasts this week that there are viruses being placed in those chips. So you got to be careful with that now.
That story is actually several weeks old, and I heard it when it hit, but I really don't understand how it works. I don't remember what the story is. The idea is that some virus writers were able, as I understand, to use some of the storage space in the hardware. I don't know. Maybe somebody can explain it.
It's not so much the storage space as there's a chip on there. When you plug it into your system sees it. Well, if it wasn't for this particular chip, your system wouldn't see it. If it was just a storage device, your system wouldn't see it. But this chip in there has code on it, and the code has been compromised. And if somebody at PNY or one of the other thumb drive companies decides to put malware or something, whatever, it will install it on your system.
I recall now. That's what they were saying, is that it was actually done at the at the manufacturing level.
Yeah,
that makes more sense.
There's a story. They talk about it on. There's a program that I watch on a regular basis. It's produced on during the week, and it's posted on Fridays. It's at revision3.com. The program is called Tekzilla, T-E-K Zilla, and he talks about it. The guy that hosts the show talks about it and explains it.
Yeah, that's Patrick Norton, I believe.
Yeah, Patrick Norton, correct. It's a good show. It used to be twice a week, now it's only once a week, and they have little bites, episodes that show up 2-3 times a week. And the guys that you were talking about that own that, was it a CDN that broadcast, Jupiter Broadcasting? They do a show on Sundays that's several hours long, that's live. Live Linux action show.
Mm-hmm.
And they post about an hour to an hour and a half of it that you can watch on Sunday nights after 8:30.
Well, what's the live link?
It's at Jupiter Broadcasting. They have a calendar up there that you can go see that'll translate your time zone and when everything has been shown. They've got about 4 shows now.
Who, Jupiter Broadcasting?
Jupiter Broadcasting, yes.
Oh, they've got about...
Chris Lass.
Oh, yeah, Jupiter Broadcasting themselves has about 15 shows.
May very well, but Chris Lass is the one that does the live Linux action show.
Yeah, he's the one who owns the network.
Linux Action Show. Yeah, I see that now. They've got this Google Calendar on their website. They have a show at 1 o'clock and another show at 3 o'clock today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have to check that out.
It's very informative. Of course, now, they're not big fans of Windows, but what can I say?
Well, what's interesting, though, and I guess I probably shouldn't say this, but, I mean, we're all friends here, but the entire tech show community seems to be suffering right now. I don't know if people are burning out on tech or whether they're burning out on tech shows. I don't know what's going on, but the tech community, in terms of the podcasting environment, boy, I mean, we just don't need any more podcasts about podcasting and tech shows. I mean, we've said here before that this show, when it was on the radio back in the 90s, I mean, calls one after the other, you could just hang the phone up, wait for 3 seconds, then take your finger off the hook, and you got another caller because so many people had so many questions. But now there are so many alternative places to get quicker help than waiting for a show to come on Sunday morning that the things have changed a lot.
Well, that's because of the Internet, mostly. I think. The information is readily available everywhere. I mean, I'm a Arch user fan, and you can go up to the Arch Wiki and find an answer for practically everything except how to print to an Epson printer. There's no answer for that. And everything else pretty much is available. Same way with the Debian distribution. Same way with all of them. Even OpenSUSE, for crying out loud, and Fedora. All of them have wikis for that.
I wonder how these shows are doing on Jupiter.
The Linux Action Show is the most popular Linux podcast in the world.
But what I'm wondering is how they're doing today in viewership versus 6 months ago versus a year ago, what their growth is.
It's
I'm
growing.
not sure, but
it's got to be. Because the Linux installations are enormous.
What do you mean by that?
There's a lot of people. It's growing by leaps and bounds. The development on Linux, the desktops are, they're like weeds. They're growing.
Well, with all due respect, Pete, and I do mean that sincerely, we've been hearing that for 10 years. And yet, whenever the numbers come out, they still haven't grabbed any more market share. So where is it going? I mean, if it's just more operating systems and more technology available for the Linux diehards already, that's fine. But my experience has been that the Linux guys are already very techy, and most of them don't need to go to an internet show to learn about Linux because they could probably write the show.
Yeah, it's the newbies like me. I mean, 2 years into it, and I'm still new at it. I don't know all of the, if I use terminal commands, I don't know them all. I have no idea. I got 3 or 4 that I know that I can open up a terminal and do something or install a program from a terminal. On Arch, it's easier to do it from a terminal than it is to go in and find a program and install it. On Debian, it's just about as easy than to call up the Synaptic package on either one. Of course, you don't call it the Synaptic package on Arch. It's a Yowert command you can install from. Pick and choose your stuff, but on Debian and Ubuntu, which I agree with Nick, is getting bloated. It would take a Harley hog to run that thing. I just don't like Ubuntu. I've tried to run it, and it just seems cumbersome. Of course, now I got a 5-year-old, 6-year-old machine now.
Well, that's what I thought. That's what Linux is great for. When those computers become obsolete, and you're able to throw Linux on a computer like that.
Yeah. Now I still got a Core 2 Q6600 Intel chip. I'm still debating whether I'm going to buy a machine or build my next one, which will probably be next year. I hope I'm able to next year. If I go to buy one, I think I'm going to System 76, a company called System 76. They build machines specifically for Linux. Now, they come installed with Ubuntu, but they'll put anything you want on them. And they build some good-looking stuff, especially their laptops. I have a thing about building machines, I guess. That's just me.
What do you think is preventing Linux from grabbing bigger market share of the consumer desktop?
I think it's ignorance. That's my personal view.
Okay.
I disagree.
I would disagree with you.
They don't. I mean, I've installed it on some people's machines down here where I'm at. They don't know what to do with it. There's still a start button. The programs, there's hundreds of programs, hundreds, junk. There's thousands of programs out there to be run on Linux. People are so used to hearing about Microsoft Office. It's not the end-all to all. It is the most popular. But LibreOffice, there's LibreOffice, and I don't have to go out and spend $495 on it to get the same results. LibreOffice is still free. The ODT extension that they're using on their Office is becoming, slowly but surely, a standard in the documenting industry, from what I understand. Now, this is stuff I hear, and I understand I'm hearing it from a prejudiced crowd.
Exactly.
Linux. And I'm hearing it from a lot of Linux shows, the big shows. You know, the one they held, the Northeast Linux show, and the one that's going to be held in October in Ohio, the big tech show. It's like the one they hold in the Linux Con is what they're calling them. I don't get to go to them because I don't get to travel like that.
I have a Raspberry Pi, which I'm sure you're familiar with, and I like to think I know my way around a computer pretty well. And every time I try to do anything on the Raspberry Pi, it doesn't work, no matter what it is. You install I was trying to set up a proxy on that so that I could use my phone on the go and still be able to access my home network. I install the package, the Raspberry Pi crashes. I don't believe it's ignorance at all. I believe it's that the people that want to use Linux want to be able to tinker around with the operating system and be able to, they want to be able to install things how they want to install them and have all these different options. And if that's the case, they're never going to be able to get the consumers on board because my computer shouldn't crash when I install a piece of software.
Well, the operating systems in general are getting easier to install. Like the Arch Linux that I install is called Manjaro. It has a similar setup to Windows. So does SolidXK. It has most of the Linux have installers now that allow you to install your Linux fairly easily. In fact, a lot of them you can install beside Windows and become a dual boot system. One never gets involved with the other.
The installation of the distro is not what's the complex part. It's the installation of the software. Packages depreciate over time. You go look at a tutorial how to install Skype on a. Let's not use Skype. Let's use something smaller. I don't know what it is. I want to install something on the Ubuntu. It's not in the store. I type in I do a sudo apt-get. Package not found. Now what do? I'm looking at a tutorial right now that's telling me that's the command I need to run. I run the command. It's not found. What do I do now? And that's the big problem with Linux is it's a bunch of techies using it, and and they'll know where to go or what to do to try to figure out how to get the thing installed. But a regular person's going to say, "Well, screw that."
Oh yeah, exactly. That happens. It does take a little effort.
Serious problem.
It does take a little effort. And people refuse. They want to be, I'm sorry, excuse me, Mac crowd, but they all want to be Mac users. They want to have their hand held and walk through life. And it's just not like that. Not anything quality.
I'm not going to agree with what you just said. You know what? We dog on Mac all the time, and it's fair criticism.
And I hate to pick on them so much, but that's Linux too.
The Macs are good computers, and if you like it and it works for you, absolutely go for it. I defend your right to do that. My only two complaints with Macs. Not Mac users. My only two complaints with Macs are A, they don't make a direct drop-in replacement for a machine that I would like to replace, which is a typical i7 Tower desktop that has a PCI slot in it, which I need for a Delta 1010 LT sound card. They don't make a computer that meets my needs, number one. Number two, if I were to buy one of their computers, I'm going to pay two. We can't both talk at the same time. We're going to make, it's going to cost twice what I'm willing to pay or can get an equivalent Windows computer for. But as far as Macs, I was in a multi-million-dollar recording studio last week, and not only was it based on Mac, but they would be insane to use anything but Mac for their environment that they have, because that's what that platform was designed for, was audio and video. And so I absolutely defend their choice on that.
Well, that's fine. I'm with you. If that's what you want to use it. That's fine.
Yeah, but I don't think, Pete. I honestly don't think that that's why people aren't using Linux, because they have to put some effort into it. It's you go, you look, you install Linux, and there's problems with it right out of the gate.
Well, let me explain that. My objection to using Linux right now is every time I've turned on one, I get unresolved dependencies.
Every time. Every single time. It's the same thing.
What does that mean to a Windows user? Unresolved dependencies.
It's almost like not having that NTLDR signal come up when you cut the machine on.
I know how to fix that.
Yeah. But the average Windows user don't.
Oh, and that's the problem. So how can an average if Mike, who knows about computers turns it on and has that problem, how can I expect my mother or my grandmother to be able to do that?
And
no way.
Before you answer that, Pete, let me tell you that if I have a Windows computer that I get a NetLoader error every time I turn it on, it's going in the trash can.
Or at least you need to check your hard drive. It could be dying on.
I mean, I can fix a NetLoader error in 10 minutes. Most of them are not a bad hard drive. Most of them are actually just a corrupted file on the hard drive that can be repaired, and the hard drive will actually test out okay.
I just went through a week-long, well, it's 2 weeks, went through with True Image, people that make True Image.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you have a Linux version an ISO that I can burn to a CD, boot from it, and make a mirror image of one drive to another, no matter what size the destination drive is.
Terabyte Unlimited does that.
Terabyte Unlimited.
Yeah. I use it all the time. They have two programs. One's called Image for Linux, and the other is called Boot It Next Generation.
Great program.
Terabyte Unlimited.
Yep, they're a Linux house.
Well, I'll have to look that up because the DD command don't work for me.
Well, we use them all the time.
Mozilla works, but you got to send them to identical drives.
All right.
Drives are the same size.
Enough of that.
Yeah, enough of that.
Yep. I have you know that
How we get way over there from viruses?
I still cannot connect to the other CDNs.
Well, we're about to wrap it up anyway, so.
I know. But it's weird. I mean, the computer would go out on the internet. I can go to the old websites of the CDNs with no problem. But it will not connect to stream. Keys are correct. I don't know.
Oh, a thought. If anybody's got an answer, a soundboard like Nick has got in the picture that he's sitting in front of.
You mean a mixer?
A mixer. Who's good for that?
What do you mean, who's good for that?
Well, I mean, manufacturers. Behringer.
That's what's sitting. That's what's. Pete, how much money you have?
$1.
Behringer. That's what I use, and that's what Nick uses. A lot of people use the Behringer.
Yeah.
But
I've
it's
seen all sorts of sizes and prices. They got tons of them.
What do you need one?
Well, I don't know yet. I'm working on something.
Okay.
I haven't got an office yet. I'm still sitting in the living room, for crying out loud.
All right. Well, when the time comes, maybe we can discuss it on a different show, on another show.
Yeah.
Amnon, you can switch.
You want me to switch?
Well, I've been on for like 10 minutes while you've been having a conversation with me.
Well, I mean, if Mike talks, that's one of the bad things. And
yeah, but just put the double box on.
The what?
You should just put the double box.
No. You're cute. What's wrong with that? You're how does it go? You're a nice boy.
You have nice hair.
Yeah.
Until he gets like us.
Oh. Anyway.
The mixer that Nick has is the Behringer 2442. If you need something that large, that's a great one to get. If you don't, then the 1204 is useful. But before you go out, and this is good for you and anybody else, before you go buy anything, figure out what you need, what you're likely to need, and then decide from there.
Sounds like buying a computer.
No, it's worse than buying a computer, because with a computer, if you buy a computer with a 1 terabyte hard drive and you need more space, you can update to a larger hard drive. If you buy a mixer with 2 auxiliary sends and you need 3, you're going to go buy a new mixer.
Mike, I actually disagree with you.
That's okay.
Figure out what you need and buy the next thing up.
That's what I've always said, though. But
yeah,
I'm
it's going
saying
to change.
that I totally agree. I even said to a guy yesterday, I'd rather you waste $50 buying a mixer larger than you need than I had see you save $10 getting one that's too small.
Yeah, don't end up like me with 10 Behringer mixers all the way working up. Total waste of time.
Yeah.
Another Hangout question.
Yep.
Yes.
Does it allow you to move your lower third so far from the left, or there is no alignment?
Yeah. Nope.
Or margins?
No margins.
When you create it, and
We
like
don't
Nick, you put
create
the
it.
RG.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
you're
we
not
don't
getting
create
it.
the lower third.
That's right. Let me bring Mike up. Okay.
Dan says
So
he
here's
still needs a PC recommendation.
the what?
Dan, you're needing more of a form factor recommendation than you are a computer. Any modern computer is going to be more than adequate for audio podcasting, and I suspect any modern computer is going to be plenty for video podcasting.
Yes.
I do advocate getting a heck of a lot of memory in whatever you get, but if I were you, I'd be looking around. I believe because of your dust issue, you're looking for a rack-mounted computer, and I wouldn't find one that's optimized for audio or custom built for the gurus of the world. I would be looking for, and it's probably a server type class if you need one that is rack mountable, but I wouldn't be looking to spend a whole lot of money on it. I don't think you need it. I don't even know who makes rack mounted computers.
Okay. So I have another, like I said. So Mike, if I bring your picture up,
Okay.
and you have your image there on the left, right?
Okay.
Is that something that you built there? You told it to, I wanted to do this and this and that, or it's by default, that's how it is?
My picture in the lower third,
Yeah.
I think I had to add it, but I'm not positive. That's been
Okay,
a
so
while ago.
the way that works is it takes your Google Plus image
Right.
by default.
But where
you
does
can
it,
also set
but-
an image?
but does it put it where it wants to put it, or you can put it on the right side of the,
No, that's where it goes. These
Okay.
are not lower thirds that you build.
okay.
But
type
can't you
in-
select an alternate lower third format though?
You can make a lower third and put it on, but you
Yeah.
can't use their template to do it. It's not even a template. You type in a name and then it's
Yeah.
there. Why do you need the lower thirds moved?
Because I don't want this.
Don't want what?
The
Hello?
the menu on the left to pop up every time you come next to it.
Well,
So-
it's going to happen either way. If your mouse then you're going to cut off the left side of the video.
Yes, to a point. I mean, I can still make it 16:9, but
Yeah, but now you're stretching the video, and if you're doing
no, I'm not
that-
stretching it. What I do is I capture it below the top.
Well, but now you're just making the video so much smaller now, and then you're going to start cutting off
It's
people's
not
heads.
that much
You guys
smaller,
can do
Nick.
that
Come
after the
on.
show.
What
It's
we
just-
really should be focused on is why the video is jumping the whole show.
I have no idea. I mean, like I said, I'm trying to recapture. It's VidBlaster is doing that
Well,
because I always had that problem. Whenever I have that problem, I recapture and everything is okay.
The ribbon and the tearing.
So
The
I
ribbon-
tried to recapture, but it's not doing it.
yeah, we need to get that figured out because that's every week now.
Let me see something if it has anything to do.
Don't worry about it now, Amnon.
No. I mean, you keep talking. I mean,
computer.
I need to do it now. Go ahead, keep talking. I'm doing it
Hi, Mike.
in
Hi, Nick. How are you?
16.
I'm very good.
Yeah. Andrew says it's a VidBlaster issue.
Yeah,
It is.
I agree.
Well, then we got to do something to get away from that.
See, I did away with it. It's got something to do with the 16:9.
Well, let's get vMix.
Now it's
Yeah.
now it's fine.
Wirecast.
That's not going
Yeah.
to happen. No, it's got nothing to do with 16:9, Amnon.
I mean, I changed the picture in the Hangout to 4:3 or whatever. With it made it squarish.
It's not square. It's just zooming in the picture. It's not you're not changing the resolution. You're just zooming in and out of the picture.
Okay, see now it's not jumping, but
Yeah, but
it's
you're-
not captured correctly.
You're cutting off the lower
Yeah.
third.
Now that we're talking about pictures, Mike, one more time, what was that name of that company that does the disc mirroring? One more time.
Terabyte Unlimited. TERABYTE Unlimited altogether. Terabyte. I can give you the link for it. Or you're not in chat. Are you in
Goes
chat?
jumping again.
No, I'm just watching through the browser. BYTE Unlimited. Yeah, I can look it up. Google had it.
TERABYTE Unlimited.com.
Have you seen the other search engine called DuckDuckGo?
Yeah.
See you later, Donovan. Dan Ortega, I have a question for you. This is probably not going to come off the right way, but you just said that it's too much money for sure, but nice. I have to bid with lower end stuff. You bought a Behringer X32, and you're going to cheap out on the computer? That doesn't make any sense to me at all. I mean, you spent $3,000 on a mixer.
And you're asking us about a $3,000 computer.
Yeah, but now you're saying you have to go with lower end stuff. That doesn't make any sense to me at all. That seems totally asinine.
Does when you don't have any money.
Oh,
Well, it
damn.
does- Well, I guess so, but I wouldn't spend $3,000 on a mixer and then worry about getting a low end computer to get it done.
He's
With
probably tired of the mixer by now.
the X32. Okay, so you spent $1,000 on a mixer, but you have to bid with lower end stuff on a PC. I was just curious. It didn't make any sense.
But
You
but
just
to
want to
answer-
know.
But to
No,
answer,
I'm curious.
to answer your question, Dan, as far as these Trenton systems, I don't know who they are. I don't know whether I don't know what they're doing. But if they're the only people you can find building a rack mount, and you got to have a rack mount, that's the way it goes.
My low end is not your low end. I get that, but that other computer was only $3,000.
I mean, Dan, have you looked to see, for example, this two unit rack mount computer at Trenton? You said they're very expensive. Do you have actually any pricing on any of these? Do you know how much they are compared with that one that you were looking at Sweetwater? Compact storage, 18-inch flexible, full height, PCI, and interesting. 4H disk HDDs, $2,700. Ooh.
Dan,
No.
this is why it's hard to tell you, because it all depends. What I mean, you're saying your lower end is not our lower end. What is your lower end? And do you want to get a lower end? What
Yeah,
is
my
your
lower end
upper
is
end?
free.
And do you want to get an upper end? You know. Well, if you want to spend $2,700, you have a lot of choices, and I will be glad to build you one. You're asking for advice, and we're trying to tell you what what you should use, taking into consideration.
I think what you're going to have to do, Dan, is you're going to have to buy one and tell us, because we don't have a lot of experience in buying rack mount computers.
Absolutely.
And I will tell you this.
And besides, where are you going to put this, Dan?
He's got a rack in his studio with his X32, because he's. But
hopefully,
I'll tell you
hopefully it's outside the studio.
Well,
because
it could be very noisy. I don't know.
Rack-mounted computers that are like the servers that go in a rack, they sound like a jet plane because they have to move so much more air through a much thinner, less space. If you're talking about a box, I don't know, ISOBox is sound suppressed, so you're running it. You can build a computer into a rack mount case. You can buy a rack mount case that is not the little 1U or 2U. It's like a regular desktop, which is more like 4U, and you build the computer in there, or you can buy them like that somewhere. And that will have the same noise level as a desktop, like a tower, which is not much. And you can buy them with an i7 in there. And that's, I mean, this is, look at Andrew. Andrew is asking you, why so much? Andrew is doing a lot with an i7. So but it's like Mike said, no experience. If you ask me how much they cost, I have no idea. But I don't think they're no $2,700 or $3,000.
Good grief!
What?
Look at the rack he bought.
I don't know why he's complaining about low end or high end. He spent $3,000 on a rack. Just buy whatever you'd like. That doesn't make any sense.
And I don't know. I'd be interested to know what the noise level on this one is, because it's got those fans built in.
I've got news for you. I've got a lot of news for you. I have something like that. It's not quiet.
Yeah.
It's quieter. But in order to get the air to come out, you have to have the noise is going to travel out too. This is way overkill also. I wish you asked us about this before.
Well, overkill, I would say I agree with what Dan's saying. His overkill's not my overkill.
Well,
it's mine and your overkill.
For the machines that I put in there, it's not a solution anyway, because they need a lot of cooling.
Yeah. All right, I got to go. You guys can hang around if you like.
I need to get out of
here. Oh no,
too.
it's after 12. Oh geez, I didn't even notice that. No, we really need to go. All right, it was fun. Now,
sure.
Now my work starts to try and get that other machine to work. But everybody have a great what is it? Memorial Day? Huh?
Yes.
Memorial Day weekend.
And good morning to Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie, and Donna. Thank you, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing, back up your hard drive, and update your virus scanner. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. While you're at it, like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like the videos. There are no shows tomorrow. So next we'll be here on... Nothing on Wednesday. Next week. Boy, I've got a whole week that it's nice and easy. See you, everybody.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with Amnon Nissan, Help In with Debbie Brooke, Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Lessons of Vietnam with NCVVI members, The Tanya Love Show, and if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it at www.nissancommunications.com. Sponsored by Atomus.com, makers of quality video recorders and converters for professionals. That VidBlasterGuy.com, CarolinaApparel.com, and DeltaForce.net.